Happy Saturday, everybody. Hopefully, you can all hear me. I am using a brand new setup, brand new computer, and part of my setup. Let me see if I'm even audible. Hold on. Brand new microphone, too. So I tested it before, everything works. Can everybody hear me in there? Yes, Mikey James, I'm a cat. I'm going to explain my cat ears. Hi, Michelle. All right, cool. I can hear me. Okay, so my sponsor for tonight is Rhea because Rhea got me these kick-ass Razer cat ear gaming earphones. It was a joke. She was on the Poindexter Lounge, and I told her I wanted some because she always has them. If you ever watch Rhea, go to her channel. She's always got her cute little cat ears on, and she's got like a big floppy hat or something that they're adorable. And I'm like, you should get me those, and she got them. She sent them. She got them on Amazon. She sent me. I worked out the app. They changed colors, and I thought it was just a chick thing, and it turns out it's not. When I got the package, there's a dude wearing them. So tonight, in honor of Rhea, and like I said, this is one of the many new equipment things I have. Usually, I'm doing the show from the center, but a couple of reasons because we have had thunderstorms the last couple of days, and we're kind of in between thunderstorms. We've had some power outages in the district that the Sci-Fi Center is located with, so it's been a pain in the ass, off and on, cable going on, going on. The town I'm in right now hasn't had those issues yet, knock on wood. So basically, we're doing this store, and eventually this is going to be where I do the majority of my streaming. It's cool to stream from the center, but when we're streaming from the center, it's a live business location. We have customers coming in and out of there, and unless I have my employee there, I'm dealing with them while I'm on the air with you guys. Sometimes it's cool because we can talk comics with them. A lot of times we're talking current geek events with them, and I can put the camera, but it's not currently set up to integrate that way. So a lot of times I have to stop what I'm doing, stop the stream, or hand the stream over to Brian if he's there, in order to be able to accommodate a live stream. Plus, when we were doing it on Fridays in Vegas, it's a really 6:30. It's a really high traffic time. So this overnight thing, what we're doing right now, I'm going to try it out. It just allows me a little bit more freedom to go a little bit longer, go a little in depth, and a little bit more comfortable. Not have to stop the stream, drive home, get back on like I do when I'm in Enosh. So this weekend we are 1 week post Comic Con, and we're still coming out with ramifications. Some of the stuff that should have been on Comic Con, and we'll go into some of the Ben Affleck stuff. Some of the reasons why Henry Cavill might not have been there. A lot of different things. Also, I just got done watching SmackDown, and no problem, Scotty. Like I said, this is one of those ones I'm going to try to plan ahead and do a lot more of these overnight ones. It's just like I said, doing it at the centers and the height of business is a little bit tough. So jump in whenever you can. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk Summerslam. Just got one watching SummerSlam. This is the first WWE event post the Vince McMahon era. So Vince McMahon retired at the age of 77 after coming under investigation for some misconduct. So I won't go into a lot of details of that, but the bottom line is that Triple H is now running the show. SummerSlam tonight was the first pay-per-view under his helm. Left me with some questions. One, is Vince just stepping down in name because a lot of the stuff that went on just reminded me of his era. Granted, Triple H just took over, but some of the matches were entertaining. The Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match was hilarious. It involved Brock Lesnar getting on a tractor, driving it through the crowd, and then doing various things with it, jumping off of it onto Roman Reigns, using it to lift and I kid you not, lift the entire ring up and dump Roman Reigns out of it. It was an entertaining pay-per-view. I hold WWE to a higher standard when it comes to their pay-per-views, especially the majors. The majors being WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and I'm blanking on the January Royal Rumble. Those are the major ones. Back in the day, WWE did not do 12 pay-per-views a year. That started in the late 90s, and it basically became a way to make revenue back when pay-per-views were huge and they were costing $70 a piece, and you wanted to make that money. Now WWE, they had WWE Network, which is $9. It made the brunt a little bit less. So if you watched a pay-per-view and you only paid $9 for the entire network, it wasn't so bad. And the same thing with the Peacock Network. And I just, like I said, I think the standards have been lower. But let me go into some of the things that went on tonight, and we are going to go into. Let's see. All right, so SummerSlam. All right, SummerSlam results, grades. Roman Reigns outlasts Brock Lesnar. It was a chaotic main event. It was a fun thing to watch, even if the ending seemed very predictable. The Money of the Bank situation was a waste. It really never happened. Austin Theory came down to cash it in, but he was taken out by both Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, who gave him that 5. The Usos came in and did their thing, cheated. It was probably about as good as a last man standing, which is basically, for those of you who are not huge at wrestling, last man standing is they beat the hell out of each other. And if the opponent that's just been put down cannot make it to his feet by the 10 count, the other one wins. If both can't make it, it's a draw. So basically for about 45 minutes, they rammed each other into everything known to man, literally dropped Roman Reigns from a tractor. I'm not kidding. They did this. And they basically did this to each other until one was not able to. In the end, it ended up in the Usos basically triple teaming Brock Lesnar and putting a whole bunch of stuff on him, the ring steps, the ring table, everything on him. Roman Reigns standing on him until the 10 count. Now he's somewhere in the 600 or 700 day reign, longest reign in 35 years. The difference is it's just become so predictable. I thought they could have done a lot more with this storyline. I hope they do a lot more. It's lasted too long, though. The Bloodline storyline has really just been watered down. Becky Lynch lost to Bianca Belair, which was a pretty decent match, but once again, it was predictable. There were no swerves in this pay-per-view. Everything that was supposed to happen, or that you would predict to happen if you've been watching long enough, did happen. What else was going on? The Logan Paul thing, he defeated The Miz, which I knew The Miz was going to do that to put him over. So that wasn't a real surprise on me there. So let me go ahead and add in my Starfleet wingman, Brian, Master of None. Why are you not wearing cat ears? Everybody was supposed to keep. No, I'm just kidding.
Fuck, I didn't get that memo.
I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
Yeah, like I said, Ray bought me these, and like I said, these are cool. This is the coolest thing that since I've been streaming that anybody's ever done for me. Buy me any equipment. I'm in the process of getting a whole bunch of equipment. I got a brand new mic. I'm literally on a brand new computer that is only going to be for streaming. All my other computers will be for everything else. But this is for, the setup. Eventually, I got a mic boom. I got all kinds of stuff. So this came in Amazon. She was so excited to get it to me. I was excited to have it. I don't look as cute as she does with the little hat and the floppy and everything. But
it's all right, though. It's an attempt.
And I got them to change colors. So, like I said, I'm happy. And let me bring in RJ.
Hello.
What's going on, dude? How you doing, man?
Doing good.
You watch? I'm going over SummerSlam. I know that I don't know how big a wrestling fan you still are, Brian, but I had a little bit higher hopes for this SummerSlam because it was a post-Vince era, even if it's just only been a couple days.
Well, remember, though, Vince booked this card, though. This
and
the last remnants of that, though.
And it felt like I was surprised that Triple H didn't change on the fly because he's been known to do that. When he was at the height of his power, when they allowed him to put NXT in the forefront. I remember one time.
I think it's meant to be a smooth transition is the thing. It's just meant to be like, okay, this is the last of those remnants, and after this, it's like clean slate,
Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to. And it's on a Saturday. They put it on a Saturday with UFC.
I love the Saturday ones. I prefer them on Saturdays.
Personally, I love wrestling pay-per-views on Saturdays because I'm off all day on Saturdays, and I can just put them on both the screen. I have a lot going on Sunday, so I miss them. But I can see overall viewership. You're going up against UFC. You're going up against the partying, the women, the mistresses, the alcohol.
Real fighting.
Yeah, it's real. Listen, don't make me drop Enoch's drop word. It's real to me, damn it. But yeah, UFC. You had Nunez. You had a pretty big. You got a pretty big headliner there. Even though I don't know much UFC outside of Conor McGregor, and that's about it for me. I mean, I'll watch it if somebody else is watching it, but a lot of the names are just not big names. And like I said, a lot of the names are now like Ronda Rousey. I watched her wrestle tonight. That match was interesting. The screw job finish was interesting. It's been a while since they used a finish like that. The tag team match pissed me off.
Oh, do you want the Street Profits to win?
I thought it was a horribly staged match. The Street Profits
tag team.
It's a tag, former tag team champions.
God.
Yeah. But they face the Usos, who have been champions since the Black and White era. That's kind of taken the polish off of them. I do not like long reigns.
That's the whole point, though. Like what I love about it, though, is that whoever beats the Usos and Roman Reigns, it's going to be a bigger deal because it's like, oh my God, it's finally over. That's the whole thing, that story.
But not in a good way, though. It's going to be more.
But here's the thing, though. I think that this is building towards Cody Rhodes versus Roman at WrestleMania. That's what I think they're doing.
You know what they should have done is they should have set him up versus The Rock and have him promo and Black Adam.
Listen, The Rock ideally would have been great for WrestleMania for Hollywood, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Nah, plus it's two different companies. You have a Disney-owned company and a Warner Bros. Company, so they don't come together that much unless somebody gets paid off. So,
but dude, the opening match though, that was amazing. That not only was the opening match amazing, but the surprise of Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. That match was great.
With the girls coming out.
But Bailey, Io Sky, as she's called now, and Dakota Kai coming out, that was awesome. That was like, thank you. Oh my God, it feels like it's actually like different. Like this is like a Triple H kind of move. I was like, yes, I appreciate that.
That was a nice match. I thought Becky Lynch was going to turn heel on her right there and join him. That's the old horseman mentality of me. I thought, it was cool that I couldn't predict that. So I was happy. I could predict 90.9, but a lot of it's because I've watched way too much wrestling in my lifetime. I can plot the stuff out. It was enjoyable. I saw some improvements, but I saw some stuff that was lingering.
Well, Ronda was the one who turned heel, though. That was the interesting thing. Ronda was the one who went heel.
Okay, was that a heel turn? Or
it was, yeah. It pretty much was, yeah.
She was rightfully screwed, and, I mean...
Well, no. See, here's the thing. She would have went after Liv, but the moment they said, oh, my God, she's going after the ref, that's when it was that turn.
Oh, that's old school 80s. That's old school 80s, man. They used to do that all the time. Hey, remember Hulk Hogan? Oh, well, you weren't alive. Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, when he tossed the fake Earl Hebner out of the ring in over the top rope. That was old school. But, yeah, I thought that was a cool angle. I wonder where that's going to go. They set up Monday Night Raw to be a very watchable show. And to be honest with you, I have not found the WWE product enjoyable since about 98, 99 overall. There's been some spots in it that I've watched and that I really like.
I will say last night's SmackDown's opening match with McIntyre and Sheamus was pretty good. That was actually a pretty good match, like a pay-per-view worthy match. Like, honestly, you could have stuck on the pay-per-view and it would have been good.
Those guys I don't know what it is about those two. They do not move the needle for me. Hey, I'm going to add another wrestling geek to the stream. He probably wants to talk UFC. I don't know what that is. I don't even know what is that here? Oh, that's in Vegas, ain't it? Hey, what's going on, Armando? I can't hear you. Are you talking? I didn't unmute him, did I? Yeah.
No, I think it's a mic thing.
Is that better?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Hey, once it's not me screwing it up. Woo!
Hey, dude. I've been drinking all day, so I have no business being alive right now. So it's all good.
This is gonna be fun.
No, I got nothing. I got nothing exciting. Like I missed SummerSlam. Did you already talk about SummerSlam?
We're talking about it right now.
Yo, you guys just go because I want to know what I should watch.
The opening match, like RJ was saying, I thought was fun. They had some people come out that we hadn't seen in a while. Bailey looking very fit. Check she's hit the gym.
Dakota Kai, Io Shirai.
They came out, and then Becky Lynch sided. Well, they all came in the 3-on-1.
Bianca Belair.
Bianca Belair. That's how much I haven't been paying attention to the product in a long time. And Becky Lynch turned with her, I thought was going to be a heel moment. But that was actually a pretty good match. I liked the Usos match till the middle of the match. It just looked like it got sloppy. It just looked like nothing was selling. Nothing was going right in that match.
Did Usos win again?
The Usos won again. That is not even my biggest problem.
What are the problems with that? Well, there's a problem with that. And the problem is that they fought the street dude. So I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched WWE TV in years, but I try to watch the event. I try to watch special events, and I feel like I've seen that match a dozen times, right?
It's because there's no tag division. There's no tag division. It's awful.
At some point, you have to pull that trigger and give someone else the big win to get them over. So I'm not gonna I have nothing but optimism for Triple H because I hope that something changes and we get better matches. But that's not a good sign when you keep having the same like tag team on top. And the Usos are amazing. They're fucking amazing. Sorry, can I curse? Is that okay?
Enosh is not on the stream, so yeah,
it's fine. It's fine. We're not prudes.
I don't think we demonetize.
It's called overnight. I think everyone can be understanding.
Okay, cool. But like, I want to see more tag teams elevated and seeing, the Usos keep winning. So after the dude got his like third DUI, right? They're still pushing him. What message does that send? A, B, like, I think it'd be cool to have another team on top, and then have Roman be pissed, right? That his cousins or brothers can't maintain the tag titles. But that's just me. William, are you wearing cat ears?
Yes, I am wearing cat ears. And wait here, hold on. And thanks to this YouTuber right here. Thank you, Ray, for the cat ears. I told you I'd wear them if you sent them, and I got them to change the color. This is cool. Like I was telling everybody else, I just got a whole new layout. I'm building the studio. I'm building dual studios, a smaller one at the center. I'm going to be streaming less and less there because it's really chaotic to do it there, especially in the middle of the day. And I'm building a whole setup here. I got brand new mic, brand new computer. Hewlett Packard screwed me. Sorry. I don't think anyone in the past 20 years has been apologetic for Hewlett Packard.
I was going to say, did you say Hewlett Packard?
HP.
God, I haven't heard that in years.
You might have as well as a Commodore 64.
Commodore was better customer service. I bought and paid for a HP warranty, thinking I was going to be hooked up when this laptop went down.
No,
I paid him good money. Listen. I don't like to bash another product on somebody on a stream like this.
Hey, dude,
screw HP, man. Screw HP. It got worse and worse. I got angrier as this situation went on. And in the modern, it's 2022. When my stuff goes down, you're going to send me a box. So I got to send it to you. So you to evaluate it so that you might fix my thing that I paid a very expensive warranty for. So I got to go. What if I was a single computer guy? I'm not. So I got to go 4 or 5 days. Like, screw it,
dude. So I bought an MSI laptop for work about 1.5 years ago because I needed something to light to travel with, and my right fan went out on it. It's very noisy. So I hit them up, and they're like, "Yeah, you can send it to us. It's gonna take 6 to 8 weeks to fix." I'm like, "To replace a fucking fan, dude? I'm like, just send me the fan. I'm a computer tech. I'll do it myself." And they wouldn't send me the fan. I'm like, dude, like I can do it in like 20 minutes at my house. Just send me the fucking fan. So I've just waited, and now that's out of warranty. Now they'll send me the fan for like $50 for a fucking fan
because they're labor. Yeah. So I should have never left Dell. I was a Dell guy always since my deployment. When I bought laptops and had to set up our network in the middle of the desert and sandstorms, and Dell never failed me. What I was smoking when I decided, hey, this looks good, I will never do it again. I went out and got a nice Dell for just the streaming. I got the so I'm working out a lot of the kinks. So I've only had it for a couple of days, and then
okay,
hopefully it looks and sounds
so
good.
I have a great. So if you ever want to hear my podcast, we're called Dads from the Crypt, where we review Tales from the Crypt. And I'm very good at taking podcasts and running them off the rails. So, William, I'm just going to step back and please keep talking about SummerSlam.
SummerSlam.
I want to hear about SummerSlam, guys. I'm going to step back and mute myself. So, have a good time.
Okay, so where were we? We were at the first match. Oh, we're at the Usos. The Usos match. It just got really sloppy for me. Maybe because I watched him so many times. The Logan Paul thing, once again, it's kind of like Bad Bunny scenario.
It was fun.
Yeah. Much more entertaining than it should have been, but at least Logan Paul is a combat sports type of guy. He actually can carry himself well, and give credit to The Miz. A lot of guys that have been WrestleMania main eventers won't do the job like The Miz does. He will put anybody over.
Okay, hold on a second. The Miz was a main event WrestleMania wrestler because he was an afterthought to The Rock, dude. Like no one gave a fuck about him as a WrestleMania.
I understand.
The Miz is a horrible wrestler and has no business being on TV and wrestling. He should be on TV interviewing people. He should not be in the ring wrestling.
he is what he is. I agree with all that, but he is what
Sometimes
he is.
he's good. Like I thought, like his feud with Dolph Ziggler back in 2016, like it actually was like good wrestling. I thought that was actually good.
Okay, but was it good because of Dolph or because of the Miz? Because the Miz, in my opinion, looks like a guy who's pretending to be a pro wrestler and not a real pro wrestler. But that's just me. Maybe I'm the minority on that.
I agree, but his entertainment value is worth it for me. There's a lot of wrestlers who can't really do it. Hulk Hogan, in the later stages of the last 8, 9, 20 years of his career, did not wrestle, but his entertainment value was there. So the Miz was there, and he's where he's at. And he did main event WrestleMania, and for him, he's mid-carding, doing whatever he needs to do. The Logan Paul thing to me was ridiculous, but I'm like, okay, I've already gone to the bathroom in this pay-per-view, so I don't need to go get anything to eat. I already have my food there. So I'm watching, and I'm like, on a nuts and bolts value of it, I thought it was better than it had any business. It was like Rodman and the Macho Man back in the day. Why am I watching this?
Well, Logan Paul, to his credit, Logan Paul at WrestleMania, like he took it seriously. He really did and tried hard. So I have to give him that for sure.
They're willing to put in, the work. Like I said, the Bobby Lashley Theory match, that was a stupid match. I hated everything about that match.
It was just kind of like, I don't know. They had to put one of the mid-card belts on the show. And I was like, whatever. It got Austin Theory on the show, so it's like, okay, it was fine.
This is the problem I've been having with WWE lately. You built that match up, regardless of what you think of Theory and Lashley and any of the other thing. I've been watching them build that up because leading up to SummerSlam, I always pay more attention, and WrestleMania, I always pay more attention to Raw. I just don't do the DVR thing. So the way they built that match up for it to go the way it did, that was a complete waste of time. That was a complete and utter waste of time. That was a discredit to both of those guys. And I don't blame them, but
so with the quick, I read the result. I read some of the results. With the finish, do you think it was just like, because obviously Lashley is actually very over right now and was being very protected under McMahon. Do you think this is like the end of Theory as being a major player in WWE?
I hope not. Because I think he's one of those guys that can do a lot and then wrestle.
Okay.
I think the mistake in the booking was that Lashley doesn't need a U.S. title to be over.
Right.
I think Theory could have done a lot storyline with the title and a title. And if they were going to have him lose like that, I thought for sure that he was going to do something with the Money in the Bank, or he did play a major part in Money in the Bank. I'll give him that for as long as he lasted. But I just thought you built that match up. You built all these matches up, and the finishes of these matches were like, wow. It's like a roller coaster, and they tell you to get off before we even start going. So,
can I tell you what I think they're trying to do? And I could be wrong with this. I think the idea might be to build Lashley to be, even though he's a United States champion, to be able to headline pay-per-views and headline big shows. But I do think, though, if they keep that belt on Lashley and have him just beat everybody, he becomes a major player. He already is, right? But he becomes like a big star, and then you can put him when Roman's not around, right? You can put him as being the big star on shows, kind of like New Japan did with the Intercontinental title and the Never Championship, where you had like Ishii and Nakamura was a Never champion for a long time, headlining shows in Japan that were selling out arenas. So I think they might be trying to do that with Lashley, and if so, like I think that's not a bad idea.
I guess I will judge it as it rolls out, so because you could be right. This match, I did go to the bathroom. This was my bathroom match. This was my drill something and put something together match.
What?
Pat McAfee, fucking waste of time for me.
I like Pat McAfee though. Every time he wrestles, it's fun.
Wait. I want to hear RJ talk about this because much like RJ, I think one of the bright spots in WWE the past year has been Pat McAfee.
Oh shit!
It has. He's
on the light.
He's
the
best on commentary. He's the best commentator they got right now.
I agree with that.
Every time he wrestles, it's fun. Now, this match is more sloppy than the WrestleMania one, but I blame that more so on just the fact that, like, the rings weren't tight and, like, there's, like, some slip-ups with that.
Well, they were about to run over with a bulldozer. That's why. Hey, this match is not a card match. Don't put this shit on the card.
I'll say, like,
it's SummerSlam. It's fun. Come on.
I don't get mad when I see slips on the apron or slips on the ropes because, like, in a real fight, things go wrong, right? Like, you go for a move and it just doesn't work, and that's okay. It's how they kind of recover from that and make the match work that means more to me. Like, dude, you've seen Bryan Danielson slip up matches and then work his knee because he slipped weird and it works in the match. So, like, slip ups don't bother me. Like, I don't really judge those as long as the workers know how to kind of come back from that.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Like I said, I'm like, dude, I found something to do during that match. I like him on commentary.
Damn,
I'm
William.
on commentary. Listen, I'm done with the gimmick stuff like this. It reminds me of back in the '90s when the Insane Clown Posse would go in there and wrestle. And granted, yeah, they were better wrestlers than I really thought they could be, but it wasn't.
But to Pat McAfee's credit, like he's a former NFL player, right? Like if you, me, and Pat McAfee got in a combat sport, I'd kill both of you, obviously. But
you know what? Screw you. You realize I'm cheating when we have our ultimate confrontation with my belts, all my belts on the line. I'm cheating.
But what I'm saying though is, I'd expect like, and I'll be 100% honest, like when I deal with some of these young kids, I say young kids like early 20s, that are athletes that get into jiu-jitsu. As a purple belt, I still have trouble with them because they're such young, good athletes. And Pat McAfee fills that role, so I have no problem with him being in there because he has a super high level athletic background. He's one of 32 punters in the NFL. To be that, you have to be good at your job and be a good athlete, and that's why I don't mind him in the ring.
Maybe the way they packaged this match just kind of just made me.
It's just because Baron Corbin's boring too. So
I just want to jump in here real quick.
Hi, Enosh.
Say, it's I can verify that it's really easy to beat William. He's not a threat at all. He talks a big talk.
Hey,
thinks because he owns belts. Listen, the $1 Million Man had to buy a belt too. Okay,
take a look at this guy. You take a look at this guy before I take you, Mondo.
Win a title, so he paid one. That's William.
Are you angry, Enosh? Are you feeling inadequate?
Right, man. Just remember that the next time you flash your titles around, look at this title I bought. Yep.
Are you feeling inadequate? Did I wake you up? Are you having nightmares about me? Is that what this is about?
Nah, this is me putting you in your place, buddy.
Vegas awaits you.
Some of us get in the ring without a sidekick to go do our dirty work for us, Mister. We don't
sign the waivers.
Virgil,
sign the waiver so that and all your property over to me.
Bring it on, buddy. I would take you down so hard.
Hey, hold on.
But I wouldn't have to. I would literally just get in the ring and you would just fall over and keel over from the heat.
Enosh, if I beat you this way, I don't have to rob you. I can just take the keys right off of you and head to Michigan.
Enosh, when I eventually have my match with William, which I will murder him because he forgets I train 5 days a week in jiu-jitsu. Would you be my manager?
Dude, absolutely. Dude.
All right.
you guys are thinking fair fight. I'm openly telling you that I'm going to have. You think, dude, the Clown had shit?
What is that? I'm sorry. What is that I'm listening to? Is that backtracking already? Yeah. That's the backtracking already.
I'm talking about Armando, not you.
William, I think I am your posse. So who the fuck are you gonna get?
Don't worry about it, son. You'll find out on the day of.
Did you just call me son?
When you hear the ring music, their ring music, you're gonna be like, "Wow, he got him."
Dude, your ring music should be the fucking Benny Hill theme because that's how bad you're gonna look if you ever actually step onto a fucking mat with me.
Sure shot, man. Sure shot. Boy.
Dude, I will let your listeners pick the submission that I submit you with. It doesn't matter what it is.
No, I'm going to let my listeners pick the chair that I get you with. As far as Enosh goes, listen, the difference between you and Enosh.
Wait, hold on. You think
you're actually a threat? You're actually a threat. I'll have to take precautions against you.
Chair.
Enosh is not going to
lift the chair. You can't even get an erection. You can't get that up.
Enosh's diaper ring attire is not going to be a problem for me. I'm not worried about Enosh. But you're okay, man. You seem worked up. You seem nervous.
No, I was just going to bed and I heard somebody talking about how they were going to beat you, and I was just like,
"You're not."
I know what that's like.
That's not you. That is not you. I'm going to make you
like to see William beaten.
Listen, am I going to have to beat you and revive you in the same match? I mean, what's going to happen here?
Dude, you'd have to take the oxygen off. Remember, they tell you on an airplane, make sure you take your own oxygen before trying to help somebody else.
I'm Combat Life Saver certified, so am I going to have to really save your life after I nearly?
You're combat certified in what? Donuts?
I think
no, in ramen. Let's be honest, combat certified in ramen.
Okay, you served overseas, I see.
You need to come back to Vegas so that we can do so that, like I said, I told you I'm going to have the ambulance driver, and I'm going to introduce you to your ambulance driver so that you can go in and lay down after this is all over with. All right.
Of course, you're going to have an ambulance driver. You got him on speed dial already. They already
derailing the show.
Automatic alert bracelet button thing so that you can. I'm falling and I can't get up. I'm falling and I can't get up.
Mr.
Somebody,
Insecurity.
the weight of my purchased belt is too much. I can't stand straight.
16 pounds, but don't worry about it. You never come that close to it. But hey, Mr. Insecurity, thank you for dropping by. I want you to sleep easy. Whatever I do to you, it's going to be quick. So you're not going to suffer. You're not going to have to scream.
You're going to like get in the ring, look at me, and keel over, and then it's going to be done.
And you know what's a good thing, though? You know what a good thing is?
To make Tyson look like it was an eternity.
Because you make music videos and you do the singing, people will recognize that sound when you scream, so they won't be taken aback by it. So
yeah, well, they'll recognize my singing. We are the champions.
Go ahead and take your fiber. Go ahead and take your vitamins. Go ahead and put in Matlock and Golden Girls and just lull yourself to sleep.
Right.
You know,
Get your milk and magnesia in.
What is that stuff that you gotta take? That stuff that you mix with the wooden spoon? That's you. You know,
dude. You have nothing. You literally have nothing. You can't even win in these like friendly little like promo cutting things. Like you're literally like on the ropes.
You ambushed me on a stream. You sat all day in a corner doing this.
Isn't that usually what happens? You're caught off guard and you don't know what to do.
I'm trying to focus on the show, man.
Underestimate me. You think that because I don't know why you think this, but you think that because you're older, it somehow gives you an advantage.
You're 18 months younger. When you have like 20 degrees.
I'm just saying, you have no advantage.
Are you 50? Are you 50?
Literally have no advantage. I see you hobble around that room of yours.
Oh, please.
I'm a young, spry man.
Dude, you're broken. I can see it from here.
I am physically active.
Active in what? Going to the bathroom?
The only thing you're physically active in is dragging your belts around. Everything. I'm physically active in dropping my belt and getting it on. Oh, when's the last time you got it on, William?
Ooh, that's a very personal question there.
It is.
But I'd guess the answer's like 2007.
You know what? The hell with both of you. Goodbye, Enoch. Wow, look at this smooth thing. See ya.
Oh, wow. Damn. Hey, dude. I don't appreciate you cutting my manager off in mid.
It's my stream.
He can put himself back in.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm assuming you
got
didn't
no
watch
promo
SummerSlam.
skills.
I'm not here to promo. I'm here to do a show tonight.
You got no mic skills whatsoever. You wrestle about as good as you are on the mic. You got nothing. You need to go back down to the minors.
Please.
You know what? Train a little bit more with Triple H. Okay, the heart attack king himself.
Ooh.
Come on back, and maybe you can hang with the big dogs.
I think you're going to hurt yourself just training for me, and then I'm going to get blamed.
Dude, but I'm literally ready for you already.
William, I just noticed that you're not talking shit to me because I train like 5 days a week and you train 0. So
we already discussed this, Armando. I'm cheating when it comes to you.
So I got my fucking manager Enoch, which is gonna make sure nobody gets in that ring but me and you.
Who's gonna trip over his own feet? Plus, I'll have to don't worry about it.
Dude, I could trip over my own feet and fucking like wear a blindfold and fucking I'd still submit you with any submission that these listeners want to hear.
Yes,
please. So, because Insecurity Nash came on and derailed the stream, we were talking about, and it always comes down to I'm going to say it, dick size, but we're not going to go to that with that. Well, that's where he takes it.
That's where he takes it. Hey, you mean we're going to drop the whole thing and we're just going to measure that because I win that too?
Oh, God damn it! Do we have to do this?
Okay, hold on. Wait, I got to remove you from the stream. Wait a minute. No, wait. It's not my stream. Let monetize you. Let them come after Enoch. Get the little message.
Gosh, man, William just really doesn't want to like face us in any kind of competition.
Nah, so I've always had the mentality is if you carry a fake fucking championship belt to a show and you're over the age of like 18, you should have to defend it at a moment's notice.
Yes.
Dude, do you realize at SummerSlam it would have been a mosh pit then? Because all those fools had belts.
Oh yeah, dude. And I'd be walking, dude. My only problem was like when I went to AEW, all in. I just didn't want to have to take the bus home with like 14 championship belts around my fucking waist. So that'd been really that'd been awkward.
I think if I do go to get to a show, I would take like, say if I got a chance to meet Ric Flair, I want to take that gold belt and get him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's different. That'd be awesome. And with his last match coming this weekend, like that'd be really cool to do.
And
even though,
it's Jeff Jarrett. Even when we were going to go to that New Japan show in Japan, and I got my V4.
In Japan, we're going to in Japan.
No, we were going to go to LA. Remember?
Okay, yeah, because Japan.
No, we were not going to Tokyo.
I wasn't on board for this.
No, we were going to go. Our schedules didn't match up, but I was going to get that signed by Jay White and all those guys that are there. To me, ultimately, all these belts I have, I want to get them signed by people who've held them, and I want to get them in glass cases behind.
I sent you the picture when Shibata put the Never Championship on my belt to take the photo, because even he didn't want to face me for that motherfucker.
Yeah. Hey, listen, some of these guys, like Danhausen, Danhausen is a great athlete, but in a fight, I think most people he runs into could probably take him, but that's
I don't think so, dude. I think most people think they can fight when they really can't, and I don't mean that like in a bad way. I mean, like, it's funny how so many people think they know how to fight when they never trained to fight and never been in a fight, which I will 100% say, if you've never been in a fight, good for you. Like, you've done the right things. Like, keep doing that.
You're not a savage.
Yeah, dude. Don't be in a fight. You don't have to be in a fight. I was dumb when I was younger and didn't know when to just walk away, and I'd poke and prod until it turned into a fight. Now I actually know some shit, and now I'm like, oh God, I never want to fight anybody ever again in my entire life.
People don't fight. Once they get to lower end, they pull out guns and shoot anyway. It's not, not like in school. There's no tree line. Yeah. There's somebody, they'll run away.
So now we know your plan. Is that what you're just gonna do? Because you got no ability to actually win in an actual fight. So now we know that you're just gonna pull a weapon.
Do I need a plan against you,
William would pull out fucking 4 weapons, and I still choke him unconscious in any fucking way he wants me to. I'll use your shirt, dude. That red shirt looks nice and sturdy. If it's gilded heavy cotton, easy. We'll put you to sleep.
See how Inashir has corrupted my stream?
So for the record, though, William, have I invited you to come down to my gym and sign a waiver and roll?
I don't recall this conversation.
I have. And have you ever come down and signed the waiver and gotten some rolls?
I feel attacked here.
I'm just saying, dude.
Oh, well, look at that backtracking.
No, you need the waiver. You and I are not me and Armando. This is 2 different situations.
Okay, I've already signed the waiver because I go train 5 days a week. You don't.
This is
adult. Wow.
You're not going to be...
Buddy. You're embarrassing yourself.
Oh, please. You jumped onto my screen and screwed at me.
Dude, we have gotten...
you wanted me to have. We haven't even gotten
that.
Let's see.
We have gotten way off the topic of Summerslam.
We really have.
I want to see... So what happened to me?
I don't need a waiver. I don't need a waiver. What are we talking about? I feel so attacked. Oh my God, I feel so attacked.
Wow. He usually doesn't get this
that I bought. I feel so attacked, guys. What are you gonna do? Like, but if I get you out here, I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna slap you.
Oh my God.
That almost sounds like your screams, but I haven't seen you get worked up like this in a while, man. You all right?
Slappy.
William, let's get us through McAfee versus
So McAfee, he was facing
I gotta go. I gotta get to bed.
See you later. The artist.
Nice meeting you, Nash.
Nice meeting you too. Have a good night.
Whatever. Get away.
My manager.
Yeah, you're in trouble. The artist formerly known as Baron Corbin. So what's going on with that guy's career? Is this good, bad? What's going on? I don't understand.
Dude, like, so you know what, though, man? Like, anyone that can be like slotted in a role and make a living, good for him. Like, I have no ever issues with that, dude. Like, I think sometimes as fans we forget that the goal of a pro wrestler is to make a living and make money. Like, he's making money. I see him on, dude. What's funny is, like, I hate his character. I hate him as a wrestler. But I look at him on social media. I'm like, he and I would be friends. We like some of the same bands. We both like eating steak. We'd be buddies.
Yeah. Every time I see him, he just seems to be getting buried. But I guess, you know what? The pay is the job.
And for the record, dude, he's not a bad wrestler. Like, he's slotting these roles. And a lot of times, and I'll say this as a guy who loves independence, loves Japanese wrestling, loves AEW. I think a lot of WWE guys get slotted as being bad wrestlers because they don't have the 5-star matches. But Baron Corbin is a solid wrestler that I think, like, tomorrow, if I had have a match with him, he would take care of me and we'd have a solid match. Like, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So it was him and Pac. So like I said, I found something to do with this match. I eventually watched it a little bit more. Then this match right here. This is the match that really made me angry for a couple of different reasons. Not angry, but I was disappointed. It's like, okay, this is going to continue. They're going to be champions. You know, that was a predictable finish.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I wish. I really think like if they're gonna do some of the Street Profits, now's the time to pull the trigger on them. And
I mean, to be fair though, there's no real tag division right now, so I understand them waiting. Though there's no tag division at all.
They can still switch the belts with them.
Yeah, I did read on SmackDown that they pushed. It looks like they put the Viking Raiders over New Day, which is kind of cool. Like get someone else in the mix.
Yeah, I mean this match. Plus, you guys may think something differently when you watch it from your point of view. I thought the match towards the middle and the end was very sloppy. It was almost like some of the high flyings. They're some of the best high flyers, especially the Usos. These moves I see them perform a lot in low level matches. Tonight they just were off balance.
You know what's interesting, and I'll probably watch a good portion of it. I'm going to try to watch the whole Ric Flair's last match special tomorrow because I want to see the Briscoes and the Von Erichs. But one thing that I think either RJ or Enosh brought up was that the ring looked like it was loose. Because for I guess whatever Brock Lesnar did, and that's really interesting because it's kind of difficult. I imagine it'd be difficult to have like the average W ring that you're used to, and then suddenly have to change it up for a different style of ring.
Good point, very good point. Because when I saw what Brock Lesnar did, I'm like, okay, they rehearsed this, they planned this. What he did could have been potentially dangerous because the way that the stadium was set up, it wasn't just a straight shot. Where he was at, he had the two turns, and it was.
No, keep going. Get into that because I haven't watched this. I'm really interested on what you guys think about it.
Like what Steve Austin did with the whole Zamboni thing a couple of years ago.
Hold on a second, William. Is that the next match?
Is it?
No, there was a couple more after this.
Yeah, hold that to the end. Just talk about it at the very end.
Let's see who's next. Okay. So this match we get up in a little bit. Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey. The match itself I thought was good. This match was good.
How did Liv look? Did they put her over strong, or was it like a slip on a banana peel finish?
No, she looked like she was like it was like close to being a squash. That's how.
Really?
She was getting
Rousey. Wow.
Beat, and she tapped out. The match ended with so she had her in the armbar, but Ronda Rousey's shoulders were on the mat, so the ref counted her on her for the 3 count, even though 2 counts in, Liv had already tapped out. And
I kind of like that. That's really kind of neat.
It's kind of sets up a good storyline.
It's different, right? Because a lot of times, like so back in the day when UFC first got started, a lot of the things was like people were starting to question, right? Oh, could these guys take WWE guys? And the WWE guys are way back in the day. The wrestlers would say, well, like, yeah, but that's easy because in wrestling you can't have your shoulders to the mat when you go for a submission. So that's kind of a really clever finish.
The thing that I didn't like about it, though, is whenever they've done a submission match or like when a sleeper or a rear naked choke and somebody's rolled over, they're always paying attention to both the submission for the tap out and that. And he just seemed like he was creatively out of place. I understood what they were doing because
but it's good if they put the ref out of place. That's really good because they still give credibility to the referee and that he was watching. The first thing he saw was the shoulders, maybe. And I haven't seen it, so I'm not going to argue your point on that. But I think it's from what you said. I think it sounds pretty creative. And if they're going to try to build more women stars, they have to do it by putting over the established stars. And Liv Morgan has obviously been over, right, in the past month or so. So
she's been over, but
I like it.
If you watch the match, Rousey carries the match, which is fine.
Yeah,
it would have been a squash match. And I like the finish. I just wish it would have done a little bit better. It was more like a screw job. But once you think about it after the match, it allows Rousey to leave with credibility, and not a clean win, having a clean loss with her, and it allows Liv Morgan to keep the title and go on to a much deeper storyline. So, not the worst finish of the night. Like I said, the match was very well executed, not like the Usos match. The Usos match to me just had a bad finish and it was poorly executed.
Did they do anything with because I know they pulled it from the show. Was supposed to be Riddle and Rollins. Did they do anything with that?
They did. They did like a little segment, but not a full match.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Now, William, you guys tell me about this main event you want to talk about and a tractor.
Okay. I can't play this because I don't want to get him kicked off, but there you go. There's the tractor. This was kind of ridiculous. I actually was
I loved
entertained
it
by
though.
this.
This is awesome. I thought
I
it
was
an
entertained
awesome
because
match.
Brock Lesnar is usually like a cardboard. Like when it comes to personality, he usually relies most later in his career to other people to really get things riled
So
up for him.
you say that, but remember he had the Money in the Bank suitcase and would come out holding like a boombox?
Oh, yeah,
That
he has
was-
his moments.
That was my favorite Brock Lesnar of all time.
Yeah, he has his moments, but this time, this match here, he comes out last. The champion came out first, and they switched it around so they could do this. He gets on this tractor, and I'm like, there's no way he's going to be able to navigate that tractor through that. And he navigates it pretty. You see how much space he gets at. So I'm like, okay, so what the hell is he going to do? Are they really going to jack up this ring and do all that? So they don't do that but he gets up on top of the shovel section and Luke vests him off of that. And I thought, okay, this match is going to be a lot better than I was talking. And the match I thought was well executed. I'm not a big fan of last man standing matches. I'm a purist. I like clean matches. I like less gimmicks. But for what it was, this was a really. I'm not saying Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels match.
Real fast. They've done this match so many times. They kind of had to add a gimmick to it, right? And I actually, again,
Well, this is meant to be the end of their feud too. Like they ended like this decade-long battle between them.
Just a decade, yeah, I guess so.
Well, and I think I think the idea behind it was actually very intriguing. That because who is going to be pinned? Who are they going to let stay down for 10 count? And I think it was actually a very intriguing way to do it. Like I always feel like what I always hate is when they do, like you and I will have a match, or you and I won't even have a match. We'll just yell at each other, and the first match of the feud will be last man standing. That's when it's bad. But to end a feud, I don't. It's good. I think it's intriguing. I think it's good.
This match was, like I said, for what it was, and like I said, I understand what you're saying, but me, I like the straight up matches. But for what this was and how they built it up, this was a very well executed match. They sold the pain. These two huge guys sold the pain. The Usos got involved because there's no qualification, and they did some stuff.
That's awesome too. Yeah. I hate in no DQ matches when the heels don't just jump the babyface. I'm like, dude, just get in there and jump them.
Yeah, and then Paul Heyman did some things in the match I thought were hilarious, and they were great. He gets F5'd into the table. A hard F5 into the table. Paul Heyman's cruising to 70, and he manhandled him like he would have manhandled the Usos. Paul Heyman sold the whole match.
He's almost 70, and he's in your shape, so there's no way he should be taking F5s with fucking tables.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take. You pay me, I'll take an F5 and a pile driver. As long as I can get up and walk to the bank. If I can get up and walk to the bank, I'm good.
So I know that spoiler alert if anybody doesn't. I know Roman won. Good finish. What did you guys think of the finish? You guys think
I thought it was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I thought that once Theory came out, I thought they were going to follow that through. I didn't have a problem with the finish, given the fact that I knew who was going to win. They just weren't going to put the belt on Lesnar. I don't know why, but maybe because it's old hat, but they weren't going. They were going to keep this going.
Always been a bad champion. I'm just sorry.
He disappeared. He disappeared. Yeah. Well, they've allowed him. You know what? They've allowed him to be a bad champion. They've allowed him to have big high moments and then disappear for afterwards. So I can't blame Lesnar. I mean,
it was kind of weird to me though that they unified the championships, and then once they did that, Roman also went part-time because again, I don't want to. And William Meadows, I've been a wrestling fan my whole life, and I just want good wrestling, and I fell in love with AEW because I thought I could good wrestling. I see the world champion wrestle often, and
everywhere, not just everywhere,
right? And you know what that means? That means he's a fucking world champion because he wrestles all over the fucking world. And I love that. I love seeing him on AEW every week. I think they maybe do it too much, maybe every other week or once a month he should wrestle. But it's still better than seeing a champion that's on TV wrestling 25% of the time. Because as well as I do back in the day, you had a 30-day clause. If you couldn't defend the belt, if you did not defend the belt in 30 days, you lost it.
You got
and I think I still kind of stick to that.
Now with Moxley, speaking of AEW, because now this, like I said, I do want to talk AEW because there's a lot to go. But let's finish this match. This match, like I said, was entertaining. I thought using the machine was artful. I mean, it could have gone cheesy, but it didn't. And when they lifted up the ring, this fool takes it, pushes the ring.
Oh, he shaked him off. He shaked him out of it. That was funny.
Oh, no shit.
Way up. And Roman Reigns is in the ring. He dumps Roman Reigns out of the ring with the back of it. I thought that was hilarious. And then they don't use the ring for the rest of the match. So the match was entertaining.
That's cool. I like that, though. I like that.
Yeah, it was entertaining. They definitely sold the pain. I was entertained. I like I was when I texted you before because of the managerial switch. Even though I knew it wasn't going to go full tilt, I felt a little bit more optimistic about this SummerSlam than I have going into previous WWE pay-per-views. And now that I can kind of see the nuts and bolts, I didn't like the way it was booked, but I understand now what's going on.
Well, like I said, they were stuck with the card that they were left with. So I think going forward, when they can actually start building stuff on their own now, like
Raw is important. This next Raw, I'm going to be very, very attentive to.
Again, like I'm not going to start watching WWE again, and it's nothing wrong with the product. It's also time, right? Like I don't have the time to pay attention to 5 hours of WWE and 3 hours of AEW every week. It's just. Yeah, dude, I just can't do it.
DVR, baby. That's how you have to do it.
Like, hey, man, again, I'm training jiu-jitsu.
I'm managing pretty well, honestly. But I don't really watch anything else. So I mean, anything else on cable. I mean,
yeah, seeing like I'm a horror movie geek. I do my jiu-jitsu 5 days a week, so I can murder William. But like, I'm never gonna get back into WWE at this point because they've lost so much. But I still want to see them succeed. I really do. Like, I have no ill will towards the company. But I'm very happy. I hope, like with Triple H in charge, that they really do go a better direction. And
I think they will. Me too. You're already starting to see with the women's division, especially now with like Bailey, and Dakota Kai back.
I read it happen earlier. I'm like, that's very positive, man. And I hope they keep going forward with this. So I think I think that WWE getting better is just good for the industry as a whole.
Yeah,
it's necessary. It's necessary.
Yeah. If you on that note, because when they were just the only game in town after 2001, to me that's when I started losing interest. And if you look at the numbers, a lot of people just said, you know what, I'm going to move on to something else.
So what it was though, you had a lot of WCW fans that had a preconceived notion about what WWE was. But dude, like back in 01, man, when you had like fucking Eddie versus Jericho and ladder matches on SmackDown, like that was great wrestling and great television, but you had so many people that just felt WWE wasn't their product that they're going to walk away. And I don't necessarily think Triple H coming back in power or coming into power is going to make people make people go gaga over the product, but I think it'll give the existing fans who maybe walked away in the past year an opportunity to come back and enjoy more wrestling. And I think it's going to force Tony Khan to get better too. Like it's good. I think it's good for the whole business.
That's the hope, at least. Yeah,
I do too. I as somebody who watched both products and gave them equal time in that era, I think that the culmination of WWE's product isn't just something that's happened in 5-7 years. This is my personal opinion, and there's a lot of different opinions on it. I think it took 25 years to erode to the point that we're at now. Yes, there were some great moments. Yeah. There were some great matches in there, but the overall product just was not sustainable for me.
But here's a real question for you. Can you name 3 moments over the past 10 years in WWE that you absolutely loved? It's tough.
Yeah.
No, I can give you 2.
I can't think off the top of my head.
Well, I can give you 2. I loved when they first did the Wyatts versus the Shield feud.
Yeah.
I could tell you, I definitely loved Daniel Bryan winning the World Championship. I thought it was a beautiful feel good moment. And maybe Becky Lynch main eventing WrestleMania, but I had to really. It's tough though, but if you go back, if we're having this conversation in 2002. And I said, name me 3 amazing moments of the past 10 years. Like you couldn't stop at 3. And I think that's a tough part is they try to do these big moments so often now that they kind of get overshadowed and they don't feel as big as they used to be. And a lot of it is just like you expect it to happen. It's cookie cutter. And I hope like with Triple H taking over creative and with him having to fight AEW, let's be honest, it's a wrestling war again, that that both companies be better for it and give us just amazing moments we don't forget. Whereas I can tell you like 3 AEW moments in the past 6 months that I was super excited for. So it's and that's not a knock on, well, that is a knock on WWE, but like again, I don't want to be that guy. It's like AEW is the best and WWE sucks. No, I want everybody I just want great wrestling for everybody.
Now, this right here, this device right here has kept me watching WWE because I can speed past. I'm sorry, but the last 8 or 9 years since I've had DVR, I can speed past most of it.
I think I said last time I was on with you, I remember watching I was in a hotel room somewhere. I was traveling for work, and I watched a gauntlet match with Ricochet, and they went like almost 60 minutes. And then the last, like at 55-minute mark, there's a disqualification. And that's how the gauntlet match ended. And I said, fuck this. I turned it off, and I haven't watched weekly TV since because I was so pissed off. Like, really, you're gonna give me an amazing 55-minute match and then kick me in the balls at the end? Like, to me, that's just disrespectful. Yeah, and this guy, I am Dial. NXT Black and Gold, awesome. They did some really great stuff.
Remember, didn't they put that pay-per-view on a Sunday and the other pay-per-view on a Saturday one time? Was that right?
I think so. Yeah,
probably.
That was when they were really pushing it. So yeah, I thought this main event was entertaining. I knew the finish was going to happen the way it was, but that didn't stop me from being very entertained by this match. So let's talk some AEW. I didn't have any AEW being brought up on the screen, but we got a lot of stuff since last time. I mean, we never even touched on the Ring of Honor purchase.
So I want to go past that because like I actually thought when AEW on their weekly TV show were trying to push Forbidden Door and trying to push Ring of Honor, it was some of the worst TV they've done. I'll be honest. I got to the point, dude, and like I'll even say that barbed wire match. Like I was super excited for that because I'm like Eddie Kingston's gonna get his big win finally. And when they had the Appreciation Society break out of the cage and get in the ring, as a fan, I was deflated because I was like, this is gonna be the Eddie match's moment, and they didn't give it to him, and that really bummed me out. So like going into it this week, I almost didn't watch. The reason I watch is because we just got back from the mountains from a great metal festival, and I was really exhausted. So I was going to chill at home, watch AEW. I thought it might have been the best show they've ever put on. And I think it's because they're finally focusing again on their show, and Tony wasn't focusing on 8 million fucking things that he shouldn't have. The opening match this week with Roosh and John Moxley was just wonderful. Two guys who don't just fucking beating the shit out of each other and having a great mean guy match, and Moxley putting Roosh over like $1 million. Like Roosh should be the next great Mexican superstar. He really should.
He held that title. I mean, I watched him when he was Ring of Honor World Champion, and he had a very good run there.
But dude, he's so far above that, and that's not a knock on Ring of Honor. That's just saying like he's got the look, the charisma, the personality to where you're gonna get a whole generation of young Mexicans like into his character and into him. Like he should really they need him to break away from Andrade, go babyface, and he's the next great Mexican superstar if they allow it to happen.
And he comes from a great wrestling family. I mean, that you get to see on a daily basis. His father, his brothers. So yeah, Roosh, I enjoyed those matches. I enjoy his style. For a guy his size, I love the way he moves. To be able
he wrestles almost like a luchador strong style. Like and what I loved about it is the perfect opponent for him is John Moxley, he's going to take it and give it. But man, like I don't know if there's a better wrestler in the world right now than John Moxley. Like the dude is just performing at such a high level.
I got one for you. And then we might
Dax Harwood,
Will Ospreay.
You know what, man? Like I wouldn't tell you you're wrong because Will Ospreay is like one of the best ever to do it. But I would say right now, the way that Moxley is putting over his opponents while still winning, well, he's almost doing this like MMA UWF style and making it and fitting it into normal TV matches and making them great is unreal. But William, I wouldn't argue with you because Ospreay is unreal.
Great too. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many good talent out there
Will
right now.
Ospreay, Jay White. Oh man, I got these damn bots.
And again, like saying, in my opinion, Moxley's probably wrestler of the year is not a knock on any of those guys. Like they're all in contention, and I would never tell anybody they're wrong by thinking differently. And I also would throw Dax Harwood in that too. As holy shit, dude! Like FTR, my favorite fucking thing in the wrestling right now.
That match, I wanted to text you, but I put the text in my phone and forgot to send it.
Well, no, I told you that I was in the mountains, so I couldn't watch it, dude. Like I wanted to see that. I just watched that match on Monday, and I was like, I watched it on Wednesday. I was like, holy shit! Like it was everything I wanted, dude. Oh my god! So I knew that if you asked people to get on my head and say who's my favorite wrestler a month ago, I'd have said I don't know. There's a lot of great wrestlers. But then all I remember is they did that 6-man tag on AEW where Danhausen came out and he goes, I found some partners.
Yeah,
and
that was great.
So FTR came out and involuntarily I went, yay! So at that point, I haven't done that in 20 years. So at that point, I knew FTR are my favorite wrestlers in the world right now.
The match they put on with the Briscoes was a clinic.
Oh my God.
Beautiful orchestra of wrestling on. Everybody who left that match was was a credit. Win or lose, there was
Dude.
no losers in that match.
So,
that wrestling.
I remember when they announced a pay-per-view, I'm like, there's nothing that'll get me that excited for a Ring of Honor pay-per-view in 2 weeks. And they announced FTR versus Briscoes. I'm like, well, I'm in. But
yeah, that match.
They're great.
What you were saying about, with the way Tony Khan was doing it before, and the way he was trying to juggle things, you could still have these other federations come in and just have it seamlessly, because you have they're holding 3 different titles from 3 different federations.
So yeah, but here's what I'm gonna say, man. Like, the problem they're gonna run into is when every fucking person has a belt, it devalues your belts.
I think there might be too many belts. That might be one of the big issues right now.
Well,
you got the Atlantic belt, you got the Trios belts now.
Okay, well, the one thing with the Atlantic belt that I do like is that they're showing the matches on Elevation and Dark, and having Pac go around the world and defend that. I think that's actually kind of a cool idea. But RJ, I'm with you though, dude. Like, it's really hard to get that many belts, because it feels like, Will Ospreay comes in as Rev Pro champion. You have IWGP Tag Team champions, Ring of Honor Tag Team champions, Pure champion, World champion, AEW champion. It's like, it's the problem that boxing got into, where you just couldn't keep track of who was the best guy. So to that point though, one thing
they never face each other though. In boxing, they don't face each other.
Hold on a second. One thing I do love about that though is the fact that they are putting Moxley on every week now. It kind of counteracts my point when they're showing you that he is the guy.
Well, that, and you see him when he was IWGP US Championship, he brought that, he wrestled.
Yeah,
but
again though, dude, that was way back when you only had 2 child titles on TV, so it's a little bit different. But I do think now that they're not focusing on New Japan and or ROH, they're focusing on their current product. It's a very, very big win, and this show showed that. And also the fucking promo that Moxley cut after that match, chef's kiss. Got me bought in. I'm now excited for Jericho versus Moxley, which I wouldn't have been too.
That should be a fun match. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it was a good match the first time around. But we'll see when it comes to FTR.
FTR is awesome. I think
unreal, man.
Yeah.
Unfucking real. Like I hate the fact that like Cash Wheeler is kind of taking the backseat to Dax Harwood, because they're both just incredible pro wrestlers.
Yeah. But see, with those guys, I enjoy watching them on the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. I enjoy watching them. They're gonna be wrestling and they're defending the titles pretty soon on the New Japan.
What's the but so I can hate you, William?
What? Well, no, there's no but there. Like I said, I understand what you guys are saying about the belts. It all depends on the caliber of the angle and the wrestlers holding them. It elevates those belts.
Dude,
like,
I think the
titles are prestigious tag team titles.
Yeah.
Some of the best tag teams in the world have held those.
Wait, but so well, again, like I'll argue that again. I'll argue that too. I don't think it's not prestigious, but in history, how long does someone hold how long does the average team hold the IWGP Tag Team Championships? 6 months, maybe at most. 3 months.
Fine.
They've always hot potato that, and I think the AEW Tag Team Champions are the most prestigious. I think what they really should have done, which I'm okay with where they're going, is, dude, all I thought that show should have been the main event, FTR, Young Bucks, all titles on the line.
Yeah, I'm shocked they didn't do Young Bucks versus FTR. I'm really
me too.
Given their champions.
I
like I don't know. I like Keith Lee and Swerve as like champions, but
they're set up champions.
They're set up champions. The thing is, I really thought they were going to give it to Hobbs and Ricky Starks, but they didn't.
Okay, so we talk about that though. Like, I thought that fucking Ricky Starks segment on Wednesday was unreal in the best way possible. Like, the guy went babyface. So the guy beats Danhausen quickly, which is fine. Danhausen's still kind of a comedy wrestler. I'm actually glad they did that.
Yeah,
and have Ricky Starks. Yeah. And then he cuts the promo afterwards. And
it's like, give me another challenger.
Yes, and I expected when Hook came out, which absolutely loved Hook coming out. And also Taz on commentary with his son in the ring.
I'm torn. I don't know what to say.
Dude, I almost and if you get a chance, look at Taz's Twitter when he cuts the promo with Hook, and he's basically in tears. Like, he loves his boy, man. It's great.
You could tell who trained that boy. You could tell who trained that boy.
But when he comes out and Ricky Stark's like, no, we're gonna do this. That's babyface point number one. Then he loses. When he loses, he gives Hook the fist bump.
Yeah.
Babyface point number two. Then cuts the babyface promo, and then Hook, and then Hobbs attacks him while Taz is on commentary going, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Holy shit! what is Team Taz now? I think it's Hook and it's Ricky. And get Danhausen there too. I want a bunch of vignettes of Hook and Taz teaching Danhausen to be a shooter. Like that's really what I want.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting too, though, because like the thing with like the Ricky Starks thing, I love too. Like he's like, I made this belt relevant.
Yes,
you know, I was like, no one really like I elevated this championship to where it could have a match like this.
It was so good, and and everyone's been cheering him anyways. I thought that was so good. Plus Hobbs attacking him like immediately.
Well, it was shocking because everyone's one of them tag team champions.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect that, and that's like what I loved about it was. But now I'm into it. Like I want to see, like, man, I want to see Starks get his revenge against Hobbs, and I love Powerhouse Hobbs, man. What a guy to come out of left field.
They're both good singles wrestlers, so it's not like I felt like it was like a bad thing either. It's just like they can be fine on their own, you know.
And what I think is funny is like Hobbs basically they brought Hobbs in to kind of learn from Brian Cage, I think, and then realized, oh, this guy's better than Brian Cage.
Who? I don't know who you're talking
about.
Brian who? That's a problem. Like he literally is on a milk carton somewhere. I don't know what's
going
on
there. It's not a problem, man, because like everyone, dude, first of all, man, Brian Cage lives in Vegas, so if he hears this and wants something, he can come talk to me. But he's not that good, man. I'm sorry. Like he's got a great look for a wrestler, but he belongs on a carton because he's fucking wooden, and he's not a great character. He doesn't like nothing he does makes me want to watch him, and I think the guy's a good wrestler. I think he's got a great look, but I think his charisma is not there. And
hey, Brian,
that's it. I'm honest with that.
It's Armando,
dude.
No, I'm just kidding.
But you want what, dude? Like, I want the guy.
He could probably take the criticism. So, you know.
but dude, like, I want the guy to make a living in pro wrestling. I want him to get better. I want him to be a star. I really do, man. Like, I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, I really mean it in that, like, Hobbs showed so much more charisma that he overshadowed Brian Cage, in my opinion.
All right, I got to get to a $5 super chat from H Barks. Thank you very much for supporting the show. Could you imagine if WWE ever did in the 90s a All Japan Pro Wrestling Kings Road style?
All right, hold on a second. H Barts, I want to know who you would want in this group of wrestlers. Like, what group of wrestlers would you want to be in this, and what era of WWE? Because that could be really badass.
Well, he's talking about 90s. So what? Well, the 90s was a very
90s style AJPW. It's like Kawada, Misawa, Achira Taue, obviously Kobashi. Probably the best era for wrestling of all time. Stan Hansen. Probably was Albright. Albright was probably that time.
Albright was there. Albright was 90s.
Yeah. Dr. Death, obviously.
Dr. Death, Steve William, rest in peace. One of the greatest big men.
Terry Gordy, dude. That whole series was great. Like, man, they were almost close to it, right? When they brought in Dr. Death for Brawl for All.
Yeah.
They're almost close. And the whole idea for that was actually Dr. Death versus Austin in a big program, which I think those two guys, man, that would have been a really fucking cool program.
When Steve Gordy, when him and Gordy won the tag team titles, and they were winning all around the world. That was one of the first things that introduced me to a lot of other wrestling.
That was Clash of Champions, what, 93? When they did that tag team tournament in the first round, and the second round was supposed to be Gordy and Dr. Death versus the Steiners. And they said, I still remember this very vividly because I was so bummed, like that match isn't going to be on tonight. And then someone got hurt, and Bill Watts came out and said, "We're doing it tonight." And they cheated to beat the Steiner brothers. As a kid, I was like, no one can beat the Steiners. And they beat them. And immediately, the credibility.
The only other team that beat them cleanly was Doom. The Steiners, and for those of you who don't know.
The Road Warriors, too. Beat them, I think, clean.
Oh, did they? I didn't. Yeah,
I think so. I could be wrong on that, but I think so.
Yeah, because there was a time when the Steiners, in '89, when the Steiners first came out, when they first became a team, after Rick Steiner left, Eddie Gilbert, and everybody else. For those of you guys who, like I said, are too young to know this, there was a time when, like, the Steiner was the hottest team, and they were not getting beat. They were beating the Midnight Express, they were beating the Freebirds, they were beating everybody. And there was one team, Butch Reed and Ron Simmons, that they had a feud with. And this is where this is just after Teddy Long had turned heel. He was a referee.
Yeah.
And he had turned heel after he did the quick 3 count with the Varsity Club versus the Road Warriors, which I hated because I thought that was a credible feud, which the Varsity Club should have won cleanly. But that's what turned him heel. He went up and got those two people, Butch Reed and Ron Simmons. Or these are Butch Reed and Ron Simmons at their prime. This is not, Ron Simmons. This is Ron Simmons. And these two guys, and the Steiners are, Rick Steiner's a little guy, low center of gravity. He could toss anything. He could toss a car around. and they would match them up, and I thought it was one of the better feuds. But in that early '90s, then Dr. Death Gordy and Steve Williams and Terry Gordy would come along, and then Jim Ross did great this era.
Yeah,
he would mention
well,
all
he
the
was
other places they
well,
were
he was
wrestling.
he was also like he and Dr. Death were close friends, and he
Oklahoma,
knew him from Oklahoma. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, he was Jim. If it wasn't for Jim Ross, I would probably be a wrestling dummy. To be honest with you, a lot of what I learned and just trace it was because of what Jim Ross set me on that path, and I did my own research.
Same here, and like just to talk about Steiner Brothers, I think it was they wrestled. Man, if you guys have, I think it's on New Japan World. Steiner Brothers was a Hiroshi Hase, who was the Professor of Pain, and might have been. God, I can't think of who the other guy was.
I know who you're talking about. I just watched that match too.
It's a great match they do in
That's
New
the
Japan.
match where they won. I think that's the match where they won those titles.
Oh, and not to like spoil, but he wins it with the Steiner screwdriver with that fucking suplex into the tombstone. That looks just brutal.
Yeah, I remember when they were using the Hurricane Rana as a finishing move.
Yeah.
Back, that was
So sorry, that was the Frankensteiner. But going back to the King's Road style, like the two guys that really in all of WWE that really exemplify that is Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Those guys just put on hard hitting matches that are very, very believable. A lot of hard strikes. So like I think they have a lot of guys who'd be totally down to do that. Like Viking Raiders, those guys would totally be down to do that style. AJ probably not so much. He's more that New Japan strong style. Which is a difference like, between that New Japan strong style and the King's Road style. But I think I think that'd be H Barts. I think that'd be awesome, dude. Like I think that, man, you'd have some really wrestlers be really into that and really put on some great matches. Sami Zayn would be totally into that.
Yes, I do. I
do not.
Oh.
I think we'll get a tag team match. I don't think we'll get a one-on-one.
Sting he looks good for 60, but yeah.
Dude, Sting needs to stop. Every time Sting jumps off something high, I shriek. But I love the fact that all the rest like, we're going to catch this motherfucker no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, they know. It's like the scariest moment for me in wrestling, I think I told you this, was the Matt Hardy and Darby Allin when they did that.
Jeff Hardy, dude. No, when he jumped off the ladder and
the ladder
and chairs. Oh my god, I thought he died.
I remember texting you right when that happened. I'm like, dude, I think Jeff Hardy's dead.
Yeah. No, Darby was dead off the ladder. Darby. Jeff onto the steps wasn't as bad. You know what? Like, if they do Sting versus Black, I think they need to have. I hate to say this. I think Black needs to destroy him, and really come out as that big dominating force out of that group. But I still think there's a lot of guys in AEW doing a good job. And we're talking about AEW, Jungle Boy. Holy shit, what a great promo from Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that he says, like, we don't need more villains with turtlenecks and small pricks. And then it goes to Christian, and he's got a turtleneck on. I was like, that is just brilliant.
Kristen and him are working this angle masterfully. I love it.
It's really good. Yeah.
It
was a year-long build, and then I love the fact that Christian's going to turn Jungle Boy into a star, at which point he will no longer be Jungle Boy. He'll be officially Jungle Boy Jack Perry, as he should be. And Daryl, I think Wardlow is the next Goldberg, but he's better than Goldberg.
He can
wrestle. But I do think like they need to just have him come out and murder people. I don't mind the good matches. Like I actually thought the match with Orange Cassidy was great for what it was. It was laid out way better than I could have expected. But I do think I do love he needs to destroy people, but I do like they're also showing the vulnerabilities there to make him an actual character. So I think Wardlow is going to be a gigantic star.
I'm glad to see him. I'm glad to see him come out from under that whole MJF thing. I love MJF, but I was happy to see him basically get out of that whole entire situation. So,
and then if I just talk one more piece of AEW, then I'll let it go. I like the fact they teased the two more pieces, the Young Bucks and the Hangman. I like that tease.
Okay.
They did that tease on AEW interview segment. I thought that was great. And then in the main event, Bryan Danielson versus fucking Daniel Garcia. Holy smokes, what an amazing match.
Yeah, that was a good match. That was a good match. That was a pay-per-view level match.
God, a wonderful match. And I love, actually, I didn't, at first I had to think about it, but I love that they put Daniel Garcia over because that guy has overachieved in his role. But B, it creates two things. Now anything can happen in AEW because we saw Daniel Garcia defeat Bryan Danielson, and two, Daniel Garcia, dude's a star now, and both really, really great things to do. And I absolutely loved that finish. I didn't think at first I didn't think I loved it, and as I thought about it, I'm like, man, that was great.
Yeah, it's kind of like with Wilbur Yuta. I mean, a lot of people didn't even
Yes,
see him.
but he lost that match, and it still put him over much, much better. And I thought they're doing the same thing with Daniel Garcia, but when he won, now you take this guy who everyone knows is a great wrestler, but keeps losing. Now he's a real threat, and no matter who he faces, you have to take him seriously. That's very important in wrestling.
Yeah, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan, that's for sure. Especially in this era. Back when I was a kid, you had to watch what was on TV. That's it. That's what you had.
Yeah.
You couldn't, whatever was on Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, that's what you got. In the mid-90s, whatever was on Monday. Now with the internet, there's so many ways you can go, and you can do your own research. You don't just have to depend on somebody telling you a match was great. You could literally pull that match on YouTube or something.
William, when are we just going to start doing a wrestling podcast again? Because
we really need to do it now. I mean, years ago when we were doing our thing, we were so limited. Now I had to drive an hour each on a Sunday every time I do it. Now early in the morning. Now we can just do it on StreamYard. Yeah, but dude, whenever your schedule, I'm ready for it. I mean,
I have a little bit outside the box idea, and we'll talk off air. Okay. I have an idea of some stuff I want to do for wrestling because everyone reviews what's current. It's fun to talk about what's current, but I kind of want to go back. I kind of want to do a podcast where we'll pick a feud and we'll review the feud from start to finish.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a current one too. We can go.
No, I want, and I kind of want to do some of the smaller ones, like some of the stuff people don't talk about very much, like Heenan family versus whatever. I can't. I'm sorry, my brain's not working great right now. I've been drinking, but I kind of want to go back and revisit some of that great stuff. But I really have to go. I really appreciate you talking to me. But if I can say one thing before I leave, it is fuck Glenn Jacobs, mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. That guy really does suck.
All right, man.
Hey, William, love you, brother. Good talking to you, man. It's always a pleasure.
All right, thanks for coming on, dude.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you. Thank you, man.
All right, wow. That wrestling segment went a lot longer than I thought it would, but whenever we get Armando, I've known Armando Aguilar since 2001, so 21 years. So, and we've always been big into wrestling. We've gone to events together. Whenever we get into a wrestling conversation, it can go on because our knowledge, our combined knowledge spans a lot, and especially when we can interact with some of you guys, even you younger guys who are coming up today. I mean, you guys are all wrestling fans. We're all part of the same brotherhood, and with YouTube and streaming services, or anything we're talking about, you can go dig up these matches yourself and see what we're talking about, and get excited about it. Get excited about it as well. I'm in the middle. I don't know if the TV14 is gonna help. I don't know if blood helps, because if you look at AEW, Moxie bleeds on command. And sometimes I think the blood is too much. I don't think TV14 is WWE's problem. I think it's the fact that their booking is their problem. They have all the talent in the world. I mean, blood is great in certain matches, but I don't think the TV14 and the adult, whatever is what that may have been. And to me, when I say the WWE product has eroded, I think they went too far to the point where the gimmicks overrode the fact that they always had the most talented wrestlers, and they still do in the game. I'm watching Austin beat the hell out of Vince McMahon in a hospital and beating him, over the head with a spit band. I'm watching Austin chase, Vince McMahon, throughout the arena in a Zamboni. That stuff is okay when it's placed, but from 2000 all the way up until the mid 2010s, that was the show. I mean, Trish Stratus kissing Vince McMahon's ass when he was in a thong, that kind of stuff. I don't think they need to go back to that era again. Be honest with you, where Triple H was taking it where the respect for the craft and the respect for the abilities of the people were paramount. That's why you see NXT, how the developmental things are going on. I have a high hopes for what he can do. I think Vince McMahon was your biggest problem with WWE if he truly has let go of the reins, simple because he was so successful with a frame of thought and frame of mind and how he did things. He didn't think there was any reason to change things, but the business has evolved around him. And there are other things. Like if Vince McMahon had been as dominant as he had been, there wouldn't have been room for AEW to jump in there. There wouldn't be an NWA. But there's fertile ground out there because as Vince McMahon and WWE went unopposed for so many years for the most part. You had TNA, but they were started out as a pay-per-view company. They were much smaller. They basically had the game to themselves for so long, and we're still seeing main events. The last time WWE was good in a lot of people's opinions involved the same people that are in main events now. Brock Lesnar. We're partying like it's 2003, so I don't think that's good. So I think just better. Borbot's great. I think just better booking. Like tonight was not good booking. Tonight, it was fun to watch, but as far as like long term storytelling, they used to be much better at it than they are. So I don't think the TV 14 makes a huge difference. Some people may think it does. I just think their booking needs to be better. Okay. Yeah. I think Triple H has an appreciation for all forms of wrestling. You always hear about Triple H if he's truly in command, talking to people from New Japan, talking to people from AAA, talking to people from MLW. Wrestling is a brotherhood, and the only borders are the companies and the contracts and things like that. But I could see it happening, and I could see a lot of these other organizations being for it. I can see Tony Khan eventually being for it because whenever you guys join forces like this, it merges the fan base, even if it's temporarily. It gets people who did not necessarily have their eyes on one product watching another. A lot of people, even though you really might disagree about how AEW worked with New Japan, a lot of people didn't even know what New Japan was and the relevancy of it. Now they might have jumped on the New Japan world. They might be watching Jon Moxley defend his title. They might be watching GCW. So I think wrestling companies crossing company lines is always a good thing. WWE hadn't did it for that long because you had a mentality that Vince said there's only one wrestling company that matters. That's why he would bring in a world champion from another company, and they would be a jobber for a while in WWE because they thought that they had to earn their WWE stripes, even though this wrestler would have been champion anywhere he was at. So with Triple H at the helm, maybe we'll have to revisit that. Yes, I did. Once again, Rhea is the sole sponsor of my show. These are Razor. They change color. They've changed color several times as we've been on the stream. I got the app. Like I told the people earlier, I got these because I love them. The way they looked at her. She had a little hat on, a little floppy. She always has them on. And I'm like, you should give me some of those and I'll wear them. She got them for me, and here they are. I'm wearing them. And like I said, I thought it was a chick thing until the package has a dude on them wearing these. So you know what? Hey, I mean, I'm wearing a shirt with a giant lightning bolt on it. How more ridiculous can I be? No, Rhea did. All right, so if Jeff Jarrett and Dixie Carter let TNA go on the road, they would have blown up. Yeah, but a lot of that was finances too. Even though they were being funded by Panda Energy, her father was only giving them limited finances. And to be honest with you, they spent a lot of money that they shouldn't. There was a lot of bloated contracts, and traveling in TV was a very expensive thing, and it just wasn't. They needed a better money manager at the time. With Impact, which is now what TNA is now, they're a much smaller company, but they're managing their assets a lot better, and they save their money. So when it's time to go out and get the right type of wrestler, they can go out and get people, when it's time. Chris Jericho was in contract negotiations with Impact before he ultimately signed with AEW, and with the conversations he said, the money that they offered him wasn't changed. AEW offered him more, but Impact was in the neighborhood, so they have money to spend on things they want. Back when Dixie Carter was doing that, them going on the road, it was just like I said. I think they needed a better money manager to be able to be able to go on the road and be effective. Otherwise, going on the road doing house shows without TV revenue, it could have been a pitfall for them. But it would have been nice. It would have been nice to see it. I mean, hindsight's 2020. Yes, Rhea, I approve as well. All right, so let's make sure that I didn't skip anybody. No, they didn't help WCW either. So yeah, and now the more I hear from Eric Bischoff, the less I like the guy. He seems like a bitter old dude. So I love the wrestling conversation. We are going to have to get that is one of the shows I had planned with Enosh. We are going to have to get a wrestling show going because, as you can see, we put on the air an hour and 25 minutes, and it's been almost entirely wrestling. And so just imagine what we can do for a wrestling dedicated show. So let me go on to some of the other topics I had here. So we're going to talk Prey. It's a new Predator movie that's coming out. It is coming out this Friday. I'm going to be doing a private screening of it with a couple of friends of mine because after the 2018 horrific Predator movie, this movie did not go into theaters because, in my opinion, a lot of people were gun shy after that failure that was that movie. That movie was a joke. And I'm not talking about Predators with Adrian Brody. I'm talking about the one with the whole Guyver suit. It was hard to watch. I went to therapy to get that movie erased from my mind. So that failure hurt this movie being in the theaters. But from what I am hearing, this is the best Predator film since the original. So last night at San Diego Comic-Con, this was a couple days ago, Collider was pleased to host a screening of Prey, the newest film in the Predator franchise. Along with the screening, Collider's own Steve Weintraub hosted a Q&A with Predator director Daniel Trachtenberg, producer, I'm going to say John Myers. I hope I'm not butchering your name if I ever meet you. Amber Midshooter, who's a star, Dakota Beavers, and Dan DeLagro. Wow. Sorry. Prey is written by Patrick Austin, and the cast includes many Native American and First Nation actors, including Stormy Kipp, Stephanie Mathias, Mistel Thrush, Julian Black Antelope. Notably, it will be the first ever feature-length film, it's getting late, to stream with Comanche subtitles. That's good to know. Weintraub was in attendance along with Pearl Nimrov, Ross Bonami. All of them spoke very highly, not only of the film, but of the energy during the screening, which was so successful, it's prompted a standing ovation. That is a big shift from the last movie. If some of you haven't seen that last movie, it sucked. All right. It was dude, we're in my car bad. So we're gonna go watch it on Friday. I'm gonna probably watch it on Friday, watch it on Saturday, and whatever day I decide to do my show, we'll probably on a Friday we'll do a non-spoiler because it's on Hulu. So if you have Hulu, you do not have to track out and spend $7 in gas to go see it. It's on Hulu. I'm gonna watch it. We have a giant 20-foot screen here at the center. We're gonna watch it, and I'll let you guys know. Thumbs up, thumbs down. But it looks great. The trailer looks great. Where the Predator is taking the bear, and you see the invisible form carrying off a big giant grizzly bear that's about to eat her, the girl in the picture here. So it looks great. It looks great. I'm ready for it. You know, I'm ready for the franchise to be invigorated. I hope it can be the same for Alien. I loved what Ridley Scott was doing with Prometheus. I thought he went off the rails with the movie that came afterwards, but I want to see what was going on in that storyline. So I would have had a lot of fun with that. Ridley Scott's 83 years old. He still has time. Back on this again, do you see him joining WWE? I can see it now with Vince gone because there ain't no way Vince was going to let him cut his style of promos. Who knows? As far as I know, MJF still has a considerable amount of time on his contract. I think what he's doing right now is a work. But with Triple H being there, I think there would be a home for him if he left. But I think that Tony Khan would be foolish to let him go. I think he's one of those stars that if you have to play an inflated wage or salary to, he's one of them. I think he's one of those franchise guys at 24, 25 years old that you make sure that his name is synonymous with your brand. So I hope they were able to keep him on. And like I said, I hope what he's going through with Tony Khan is a work. All right. So, yeah. I don't know if we're going to be promoting Prey as far as getting merchandise and stuff for it. But like I said, I may even do one of the Hulu group watch parties with some of you guys. We may just do a stream, if I can legally do a stream where we're all watching Prey. So I am a Hulu member, and I got all that. So if you guys are on board with that, I might do that. I'll look at the legalities of that. So Prey was really good, according to the people who've seen it. So another thing, because we're going to go real quick through these since we spent a lot of time on wrestling, which is fine. I have no problem with it. If there's ever going to be a thing that derails the show, besides Enoch coming in acting like a complete goofball, it is wrestling. I can talk wrestling until the sun comes up. If there is a show that you guys that may not be watching, please start watching Westworld. Everybody's talking about The Boys. Everybody's talking about Stranger Things. They're great shows. Westworld is a show that I don't think enough people are watching. I really think you guys should get it. It is a complicated show. I will not lie to you. In its first 2 or 3 seasons, you have to be paying attention. Your mind has to evolve and be patient with the show. The easiest thing now, though, but because those first 3 seasons are on HBO Max, you don't have the waiting game of trying to figure things out and have your mind twisted into a pretzel flap. You can watch these as they come along and then lead up to what is now the 4th season. The 4th season is a much easier story to lay out. It's less confusing. Basically, what Westworld was, it's based on the original movie. It's based on Crichton, who wrote the book. It starts out as an old Wild West park where the robots are basically prey to being treated like trash. They are there for entertainment for the people who come to the park. They can have sexual intercourse with them. They can be killed. And they can be shot. And what ends up happening over the course of the first 3 seasons is the robots gain sentience, and they end up, it ends up changing the story, and it changes the dynamic. And now that we're in season 4, the dynamic has changed even more. Without spoiling, that's giving you the premise without spoiling everything for you. But really, if you guys get a chance to watch this show, it is great. It takes all the best things about the Matrix, the things that the Matrix kind of let go of itself, and it puts it in here. You have great actors in here. You have Jeffrey Rush is in here. You have Anthony Hopkins is in here. Evan Rachel Wood is in here. James Marsden is in here. It's a really great show. I don't think a lot of people. It's successful enough. It got its 5th season, but really, if you have HBO Max and you're watching all this other stuff, really try to take some time and jump into Westworld. And when I think that enough people have watched it, I'm going to start reviewing the show and going and doing a deep dive into from episode 1 all the way up until the current season. Same thing with Game of Thrones. We're going to be one of the shows we're going to be doing on my channel is going to be a Game of Thrones live stream post-game show that will happen at beginning August 21st. After every episode of Game of Thrones, we're going to do a live recap of it. And a lot more people are watching Game of Thrones than Westworld. But like I said, if you're on HBO Max, why not give it a shot? So once again, as I get more geeks involved into these shows, I'm going to start reviewing these shows. And I'm just basically going to be here for you guys to ask questions. And if you want to take it private to where we don't spoil it for anybody else, if I can get people watching new stuff, that's the whole point of being on this platform. So that's Westworld. It's on HBO Max. It's right now season 6 on season 4. Episode 6 is coming up tomorrow night or later on this morning, depending on where you are. It's a great show. You guys should be watching it. So one of the major this was actually supposed to be the first topic that we were on, and we kind of we didn't get sidetracked. Sidetrack is a bad thing. We got consumed by wrestling. Obviously, some of the big news of the week was Ben Affleck returning as Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom. Momoa revealed it. There's the Twitter shot. There's him in the Bruce Wayne Justice League hairdo that he always has. There's Jason Momoa spilling the beans on it. There was a video involved. This is good news, not just for those of us who want to see the Snyderverse restored, or in my opinion, want to see the Snyderverse resolved. This is good because I just never thought we got enough of this particular Batman. He's my favorite Batman. He never got his solo film. And if there's any crime that I think needs to be undone, it's the fact that I need to see what resolves of the Nightmare timeline. And as long as I have Cavill somewhere out in the wings and I have this guy as a possibility to ever put on these capes again, there's always a possibility for me to get those storylines resolved, to see the Dark Side War, to see all that. I don't need to have 5 million movies with these guys. I just need the story that they were finished to be concluded. I want to see how Bruce Wayne redeems himself. I want to see how Clark Kent gets subdued by the dark side or by dark side, and how he gets broken of that control, if he's ever broken that control. I want to see how the Flash, what becomes of him being reached back in time and dealing with him. And from what I'm told, a lot of that's going to happen in the Flash movie, but that's eons away. And since these movies are done out of order now, it made more sense for Ben Affleck's Batman to be in it instead of Michael Keaton's Batman. That's always a good thing. we're getting for years and years. People told us we were never going to get any more of this particular universe, and we're getting more, even if it's bits and crumbs. You know what? It's small bricks build very large buildings. So I'm very happy to see this, and like I said, it was some big news of the week. This probably could have happened at Comic-Con, but it didn't. Cavill could have been at Comic-Con, but he wasn't. Some rumors that he had COVID on the Witcher set, so it's in the past. But like I said, I think it's a good thing. So we briefly touched on that. A lot of the other guys have gone to bed that would have talked more about that. So what kind of questions in the chat, you guys that are stuck with me overnight, what kind of questions do you have? Go ahead and we'll go through and ask anyone. Just Dark, not traveling champion, but it should be on TV. I think it will be on TV. I think as they go across the Atlantic and defend it, you'll see it defended when they start doing pay-per-views overseas, when they start doing shows overseas. But the Dark match, it elevates Dark matches. But a lot of people didn't like the addition of that title because you have the TBS champion or the TNT champion. What I need to know from AEW is which one's the title that whoever holds it gets a title shot for the world title. Because back in the day, NWA, WCW, or Intercontinental for that matter, if you held those belts, you were the number one contender for the world title. And when you looked up the wrestling magazines, you would see when you looked at the contenders list, there was always a number two contender because there was never a number one contender as long as there was a U.S. or an Intercontinental champion. So with an Atlantic title and a TNT title, where do these titles fall into the I got this belt, I'm the number one contender stage? And that's where I think that's when RJ and Armando were talking about the titles don't mean anything. The bookers and the people who write the storylines can easily make these titles mean more than just a couple, some pieces of metal. If you say that the guy who holds the TNT title or the Atlantic title is the number one contender leading into this pay-per-view, then you've just made that belt prestigious. You basically added some weight to that belt because not only is the person who gets that belt fighting for a world title, everybody's going to be putting the target on that particular person's back because they know that the path to the world title is that person. So I would like to see that happen a little bit more. They used to do that back in the day. Armando answered this a little bit earlier. I think Wardlow is a better wrestler. I think Goldberg was plugged out of obscurity, and because he was a tremendous athlete and he had a tremendous following, he got to where he got. No knock against Goldberg, he was what he was, but I think Wardlow is a better trained wrestler than Wardlow is a better trained wrestler than Goldberg was at this point in his career. I don't know. Apparently, there's just not enough room on the card for him. I know he was supposed to be doing some stuff with Ring of Honor. I know they had introduced him. I know Tully Blanchard introduced him at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. So you may see him eventually on there. But like I said, he just kind of disappeared. Now, when he left Impact, he was world champion level, and then all of a sudden he basically goes to AEW and disappeared on a much smaller roster than he would be in WWE. So let's see. That's what they're probably building up to. I mean, I think we would have probably been on our way there if it hadn't been for the injury of the pectoral industry. So, yeah, but when they first made the Undisputed Champion, Brock was great. 2002, Brock was great. Eddie Guerrero. They had a lot of good champions during that era, but Brock was more committed to the wrestling game at that point. Now, post UFC days, he like I said, when he beat The Undertaker to break that streak, he all but disappeared for like the next 4 months. And same thing when he had the title. He would win the title, and he basically would not defend the title for several months. And it just became, kind of boring and kind of to the point where your champion wasn't on TV. And your champion doesn't always have to wrestle on TV, but he should be on TV. There were times when Ric Flair wasn't wrestling, but he would come out styling, profiling. And if you don't get a chance to go to church, look at some of Ric Flair's promos, man. He come out in three-piece suits, styling, profiling, taking off the sheets, the lizards, he called them, telling you that his watch costs more than your house and that he's got more suits than you do. His promos are great. And one of these days, if I can not get copyright strike, I just want to play them. They're so cathartic. Let's see, more bots. Boy, the bots are out tonight. I guess it's because it's Saturday night. All right, and so I'm going to answer your question, Dale. I just got to make sure we don't have the porn bots in the room anymore. That's kind of annoying. All right, so, or not Dale, Dark Knight. All right, thoughts on Grace's meltdown about Snyder's fans. Also about Affleck's return as Aquaman. Like I answered the Affleck. I think it's good. Okay, so I generally don't talk about other YouTubers, regardless of how many followers they have on here, especially if they're not part of the Poindexter Pantheon. But I'll make an exception here, and because I don't think it's Grace, I have a problem with people thinking it's their role or their right to tell somebody to give up on something. All right. If you don't want to see it, that's fine. If you don't want it to ever happen or don't think it's going to happen, that's fine. You do not have the right, I don't care how many hundreds of thousands of viewers you have, to tell somebody to move on or to give up on something. You have no more right to antagonize me in that way than I do about some dumb show that you're watching that I think is stupid or that you want to get back on the air. You know what? If I have if a Snyder film is on my TV and I don't want to see it, there's this magical wand that was invented decades ago that allows you to change that reality for you. So not just Grace, but anybody who basically uses their platform to pick fights with any fandom, I have a problem with. If you don't like something, if you're tired of someone on a platform talking about Snyder movies or the Snyderverse, don't watch that show. It's that easy. If they're on Twitter and you're tired of hearing about any group of people or hearing about Snyderverse in general, hit the mute button on whoever it is or use keywords. You don't have to listen to it any more than I have to listen to some of the stuff somebody else may watch, and I will never watch. And I just don't think it's. Now, we all know that there are people out there, the 1%ers, the 2%ers, that are the viral type. But if you're going to mention them, you have to, at the same time, mention me, Enosh, Dave the Film Junkie, Chris Wong Swinson, May, any of these people that we've all had interactions with, and not one of them has been any of these toxic fans. So not only do I think her or anybody else that is telling people to move on is wrong for even thinking they have the right to do that, I think that in the same vein, they're also classifying anybody who thinks along those lines with these other people. We all know that they're there. And I try my best to point them out when they're there, and I don't engage with them. You know, I don't think it's time for people who want the Snyderverse to come back in any way, shape, or form, however the probability is to move on from it. I think it's time for the people who want to pick fights with them and antagonize them. It's time for them to move on from us. All right? Our lives are not enriched by each other one way or the other. It doesn't appear. If my love for this particular vein of movies and the hope that it comes back upsets you, then there are millions of other YouTubers. There are millions of other platforms that you can go and I'm pretty sure you can find one that will be talking about the topic that you want to talk about. But to constantly, there are people who have made an industry out of picking fights with Snyder fans and antagonizing them. And I always tell these guys, why do you even respond to it? That's their opinion. All right, that is not up for someone else, whether it be Grace Randolph or anybody, to antagonize a fan base in that way. And I wish that the people had responded. And now I'm not for people responding with threats and hate mail and all that, because I think that's an equal waste of breath. It is a waste of breath to respond to what she said than it is to for her to have said it, in my opinion. And I like Grace Randolph stuff. She has a lot of credibility. She has a lot of news. She does have context or what she's saying. She knows what she's doing. But for anybody to pick a fight with this particular fan base, there's nothing productive coming out of that conversation. There's nothing productive coming out of that conversation. It's not journalism. We're not just discussing something happening or the probability. We're picking a fight. And to be honest with you, I don't have time for that fight. And whether you guys believe it or not, the people who were engaged in this fight, they really don't have time for it. We can talk with each other about the possibilities of these coming out, and we don't have to really engage in these other people. If we have somebody who say, "Hey, those movies weren't for me," that's one thing not to like them and think, "Hey, I don't think it's ever going to come back." But the picking of the fights and it's a complete utter waste of time is where I thought that's where I disagreed with her on. And it seemed personal. I mean, I've seen her pick fights with like Jessica Chastain and things like that, and I found them hilarious. But some of these guys who pick fights with certain fandoms, it becomes personal. And it's not about news. It's not about spreading enjoyment. It's about trying to break somebody down and make them believe something that's not coming back just because you believe that, and that's not productive. If I want to believe that Santa Claus exists, is going to come down my chimney as a grown-ass man and drop me presents, unless I'm believing in something fanatical that's going to endanger the public, leave me the hell alone. And I'm going to leave you alone. That's it. You know what? It's that simple. And for some reason, it seems like rocket science for both sides. The people who want to pick the fights and the people who respond to it. You know what? So that's what I feel about Grace's meltdown on that. I mean, I wish it hadn't happened because it's a high-profile person picking fights with all of a fan base, and that's just never good. So, all right. So, I do. Yes. I've said this for a while. I think that The Batman is my favorite overall Batman movie, but Robert Pattinson is not my favorite Bruce Wayne or my favorite Batman. Ben Affleck is my favorite Batman. I think he played Bruce Wayne perfectly. I love the way he looks as Batman. I love the way he moves as Batman. He is my Batman because The Dark Knight Returns from Frank Miller was my Batman when I was a kid. So basically, this is bringing all my worlds together. But I think he is great in that role. He's my favorite in that role. He is believable as somebody who's been worn down by crime and corruption and loses himself to the point where at the point we see him, he has to come back. So, yeah. I think Batman is the best version of Bruce Wayne. Okay, Rational Skeptic. What if WB is having cold feet on Keaton in the new timeline? That is a very good possibility. Remember, what I've been saying for a year now is that once Zaslav and co were going to take over this company, that I really wish that the people who are spitting out stuff and making these announcements and putting up would just stop. I know that technically he had no legal standing to tell him to stop, but if I'm a employee with a company that you're taking over, you're going to be my boss, and I plan on staying with the company and hopefully getting promoted with the company and maintaining my position. I think there might be some conversations on the golf course, some whispers that, hey, we're going to be there in no time. Please don't leave a pile of dog crap on our step that we have to spend time cleaning up. Even if it's good stuff, it may not be what we want to do. They spent $46 billion or $43 billion to take over this company, and they spent another $40-some-odd billion to assume the debt that Warner Brothers and AT&T left them with. I think that they had the right to write their own path. I thought all this stuff, the Blue Beetles, the Batgirls, I don't think these movies should have been made. Not that they're not going to be great when they come out, but now you are putting someone in a position where they just spent all this money, assumed all this loss and all this risk, and they don't even need to get to come in with their own storyline. They get to inherit your mess. And now you see the growing pains. You see what's going on. All of these rewrites, all these reworks are because they're now a new chief that has to find a way to make this work. And to be honest with you, the previous regime, what they had in store probably wasn't going to work. And I hate to be a doomsayer, but I've had 9 years of them not working. So I can only go into history. So I think when you say cold feet, I think they may be rethinking the entire thing to get the most out of it. I think they're disappointed with the misuse of some of these major IPs that they have. I think they're seeing the response. Remember, these guys have metrics that we will never see. They may have seen the response to Zack Snyder's Justice League. They may have seen the response to BVS on streaming, the numbers like that. And remember where they're trying to go with the company. I don't know if it's cold feet on Keaton. I think it's a better attraction and reworking the storyline because Keaton, like I said, I know who Keaton is. Keaton was my first major big budget Batman. 1989, I was in line. But he's 70, and this isn't 1989. So maybe they're mitigating their risk and trying to get a Batman that connects more with people that are contemporary to this era. I don't know. I'm not in that corner office, but I think there are second thoughts about the overall plan. And I think we're starting to see crumbs of that come out. All right, let's see. Okay, Black Star Afro, I love your avatar, by the way. The people who have a problem with Snyder, they antagonize. Yeah, and like I said, I just think it's a waste of time. If you don't like something and you don't believe that something's going to happen, what is you trying to crush the person that does do for anything? You don't. None of us are getting paid. We're not getting a bonus check. If I destroy your hope for something coming about, that person, I'm not getting a check from Warner Brothers. I'm not getting a check from Disney. I'm not getting anything direct deposit. Why does it mean so much to people to destroy someone else's hope for something? I think that says more about that person than it does about what they're chasing. Extremists aside, because some of the extremists have handled themselves in a way that does not look good on us all. But just like a terrorist, just like any extremist, no extremist represents the whole of anything. The vast majority of us just listen. It's Warner Brothers and these film studios' job to take the money. We are here with money. Instead of antagonizing us and picking fights with us, do your job and figure out a way to take these fists of cash that we have been waiting to give you for 7 to 9 years now, that we've given you at every point. Every time you put out something with Jack Snyder's Justice League, people bought it. They sold out of it. Every time that you put it on HBO Max, how many of us signed up? When the real numbers come out, we've supported everything that you put out about it. We're here with money. Instead of antagonizing us and supporting hit articles, find a way to take our money. That's a much easier tag than to try to dance around us. So yeah, it's a problem. Let's see. Yeah. He brings the rich guy and this sort of asshole to life more than anybody else so far. Let's see. All right. Did it feel like the Batman movie was closer to Red Hood than the extent of how Batman? If you read Batman Year 2 and you understand where he's at, depending on who's writing him in that point of his career, I felt it was more like Red. Because with Red Hood there was a lot of backstory that kind of makes the cute character so much different. With Batman, the whole point of Year 2 and them telling that story is to show you not just where Batman is, it's to show you where the entire city is, where the Gotham PD is, his relationship with Jim Gordon. Batman in the Batman, Robert Pattinson version, is to me a quarter of the appeal. That's why when I say it's my favorite overall Batman movie, but he's not my favorite Batman, he is great in this movie as he interweaves seamlessly into the tapestry of the movie. But the city, the cinematography is great. The musical score is great. The shots are great. The villain is great. Jeffrey Rush is great. Everybody in that movie did their job. And that's what makes this, there's no letdowns for me in that movie as far as that goes. There could have been a couple minutes cut off of it. But when it comes to the extent of Red Hood, Red Hood will kill. Red Hood's value of life. Even though Batman kills, Red Hood will kill as the first tool in his toolbox in some cases. He does not, because of how he came about, he no longer has, at least the original where you tell that story, Red Hood, does not have the type of value for life that Batman has. If Batman in any form kills somebody, that is not his first option. Usually when Batman kills, unless he's dropping their grenades on somebody's pants, but that's a Keaton era. But in the way he's written in the comics and the way most forms of Batman show you, if somebody does die, that was not the primary goal. The primary goal was to stop that person. And if somebody died, it was usually in defense of himself. Usually when he had to kill somebody in the comic books. And Gordon said, hey, I'd rather you take him out than him take out one of my cops. And I have to deliver a letter or go to one of my officers' house and telling them that some thug killed their kid. I'd rather Batman take that guy. He knew he was wrong for thinking that way, but they both knew the game. So, yeah. All right, so let's see. Rational Skeptic Kamada told Sasha Kaye she was going to be front and center in the DCU for its past Flash. What does WB tell her and her agents now that they want Cavill Superman front and center? I don't know. I don't know. This is an evolving situation. This is the byproduct of these guys making all these plans when they were on their way out. Somebody in the room, especially some of the people who are still left over from the previous team, should have said, hold on. Either we need to not do this or we need to be finding a way to consult, because you can consult with people in ways that doesn't make it illegal. I mean, there's some ways backdoor conversations happen all the time. But what they've done, though, is they've produced these things. They've set these people's career paths on Sasha Kai on a trajectory. She's Supergirl, and they've set these filmmakers and all these other people, and that includes the things that we're never going to see. There are things that have gotten canceled that the previous regime set forth that should have never been greenlit. Wonder Twins, actors have been named. Whenever you pour a plan like this, you put people in a position where they have to change course now. And now, unfortunately, good people have to pay the price for this. So if they do, and this is not saying that they want Cavill front and center. We hope so. I hope so. But if that is the case, then yeah. Now she may not necessarily be out, but they're going to have to retell a story that prioritizes what Warner Brothers Discovery wants and not what the previous regime wants. It's their company now. And like I said, it's like moving into a brand new house and somebody's crapped on the floor and taking out all the good plumbing. You don't want to do that because it takes time. The hat is my Army hat, which I always wear because I am a combat veteran, and this hat was given to me at my other gig on Memorial Day, so that's my normal standard. You're probably referring to the cat ears, and the cat ears is because I promised Rhea if she bought me cat ears, I would wear them on the stream. And I really am digging them. I love the sound on them. I like the way the lights change. I think it's cool. I am confident in my manhood, so I'm going to wear these. And like I said, like I told everybody else, the guy on the package, I don't have the package here, he's a guy wearing them, so I like him. Who knows? Like I said, I'm wearing I wear a shirt out in public with my logo and it's Shazam logo on it. I don't take myself so seriously. So as you can probably see on these streams, when I have the entire chat going after me and calling me old, Enoch corrupting my stream and screwing with me, I can take a joke. So I'm the first person to laugh at me, but I don't think these are worth to be laughed at. These are cool. I don't look at, Rhea looks much better in them than me, but I think I carry the cat ears well. But thanks for noticing. All right, let's see. Hey, listen, I'm not mad either. There's a lot of people who saw Justice League 2017 who are not as connected as we are to these movies. On its face value, Justice League wasn't an awful movie on its face value, but when you connect it to everything else, you connect it to what it was supposed to be. If you just put Justice League in a 2017 in a vacuum all by itself, not a bad movie. Not a bad movie, not a great movie. There's a lot of holes you can punch in it. But when you add in the mosaic of everything else that went on, and then when you add in the stuff that we were finding out afterwards, it is really hard to look at that movie for us and have any really regard for it. But there's a lot of people now, especially now it's back on HBO Max. There's a lot of people I've seen watching it. Saying, "Hey, which one?" The Justice League. I had a guy come up to me in the store today, say, "Hey, I watched Justice League on your recommendation." But it wasn't 4 hours long. I'm like, "Oh, damn it, you watched that one," and then I put it on for him and say, "Hey, this is what's the one you need to watch." So there are a lot of laymen that, hey, if your doorway into the Snyder continuity is that movie, I just hope you meet me and I can show you the way to the real thing. So yeah. All right. Yes, Ray is great. Ray is, she's literally a ray of sunshine. Every time I see her on her streams, she might be playing a game that I'm not a gamer. I know nothing of what she's doing, but just seeing her, how she's just so happy all the time playing, and her chat's happy and got her cat ears and her floppy hat on. I just love people who are happy doing this. I see so many streams of people just destroying each other and going after each other and ripping each other and making streams about other people and stuff like that. Listen, if you make a stream about somebody else and that's your gig, that's cool. I just did not come to this platform to do that. And every time I see people like Rhea and a couple other people who are just literally enjoying what they do, it's just great. I'm glad there are people out there like that. And like I said, I'm setting up a new studio here. I have a brand new microphone that you can't see because it's off air. I have a brand new computer. I already told people my horror stories of AP. I now have gone back to I've had a come to Jesus moment, and I've gone back to Dell. I'm sorry I ever left you. I'm on a brand new Dell right now. I got a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to be doing to give you. This is all going to change around, and eventually, when you guys see me, there will be a backdrop with all my wrestling belts. There will be things in front of me. I ordered a thing that allows you to change the angles and the cameras and the computer angles and all that. So I'm going to really put a lot into it because I'm having a lot of fun with this. So, but yeah, this is one of those things that when somebody buys me something like that, I really appreciate stuff like this. These are not, I don't know how much it costs, but I'm wearing them. Like I said, when somebody goes out of the way to do something, I love it. So, All right. What does WB tell you Tanahashi Coates? Why do I screw up that name? I actually know how to say his name. If they end up keeping Cavill, Tanahashi Coates is kind of a nutcase. They don't really. I don't think they're obligated to tell them one thing or another. Listen, the fact that their cover is that the regime changed, that we're under new management. We understand that previous people brought you in and told you things, but guess what? We have a different plan, and if there's any financial things they need to sell out, they'll do it. They'll do that kind of business, or they may say, "Hey, this isn't the project for you because we want to go this way," but stick around. We still want to retain you to do something else. How about this? How about Black Lightning? How about Milestone? How about something like this? How about a different Superman story? That it all depends. I think though the right move is to prioritize Cavill, because right now, if you're coming in and you want to maximize what you've already spent over the last 9 years, you already have one of the most popular actors out there. Regardless of what anybody wants to tell you, Cavill is a highly regarded actor. I know people said other studios don't want him. I highly find that Universal had no problem with making him a villain in a James Bond movie, or not James Bond movie, a Mission Impossible movie. He's up for Highlander. He's up. Every time you hear the guy's name, he's up for things. So you have him now, and you have him, and he wants to do it. So I think right now the priority needs to be Cavill Superman, and then we move on. Settle the universe you started first. I don't need 25 Snyder movies or movies with these people in them. Just settle this, and once you settle that, you have a strong basis to do anything else you want. But if you don't finish what you start, nobody's going to believe you when you try to sell them something new, especially when it comes to money. Times are tight. So Cavill needs to be ahead of anything, whether it be J.J. Abrams, anybody else's Superman story. If it doesn't include Cavill right now, as far as it needs to take a back seat, because right now you bring in a new Superman, you're going to take the same time and go through the same growing pains that you had to go through with what's now a very highly regarded actor. 6 or 7 years. That's why I say reboot is banned. On my ban list, I'm going to add rebooting, because when you reboot, you basically told everybody who has their hands on that product that I've wasted your time. But by the way, you want to try this? No, they're not going to do it. That's why the word reboot is that is toxic. So yeah, I think the Tanahashi Coates thing will take, even if it happens, will take place after the Superman that we have is established, because that is the quickest way to make those big bucks and to unite a fan base. The general audience likes Cavill. The hardcore audience likes him. So let's take the path of least resistance. Okay. I respectfully disagree. The Whedon version is mediocre at best. I am in 100% agreement with you. But to the layman, we're a little bit higher than the layman, it's a superhero movie. Some people liked it. Now, when you show them the Snyder Cut, they look at you like, where has this been? Yeah, I think the Whedon Cut was horrible upon further review. At the time I saw it, I didn't want to think that, because I was so happy to see this movie finally come to culmination. But as my common sense, the little devil on the side of me is like, dude, what the hell did you just watch? And things started to come out. And then when we were promoting this movie, there were some issues that came to fruition later on. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. We're in agreement there. But to the average fan, it's on HBO Max now. Some people are not inside like us. They're going to click on Justice League and think that they're watching the right one, without you or me there to say, "No, stop what you're doing. Let me take the mouse from you and click on this one." So yeah, we're in 100% agreement there. All right, I think WC needs to pay you as an advisor. I am hoping. I think WC needs to advisor plan on that. They need to show us why we keep giving their money. WC is dead. Yeah, I think David Zaslav is better at that than the previous regime was. The previous regime had a disconnect and an adversarial relationship to their audience. They wanted to fight us instead of, like I said, what's easier to do, to go to fisticuffs with somebody or take the money that they're willing and wanting to hand you. And they basically designed an entire universe to avoid us. And I think that's bad business. I think if you look at David Zaslav's history with Discovery, the fact that he made Discovery a tiny little network, a big enough network that it could buy a major studio like Warner Brothers, tells you everything about who he's got working with him. He hires people, he sets them on their way, and he doesn't second guess people. I think he's from that school of thought. The time for second guessing was in the interview process. Once I hire you and I give you the stock folders money and I set you on your way, I made my decision. I can go on to do other things. And when it comes to their fan base, I think that Zazoff is starting to look at. You're starting to see things that we've been wanting a while. We're not getting them in the exact same format that we wanted them in the exact same way, but you're starting to see things. A couple of days ago, we didn't have Affleck in that, and they could have written Batman out of that and still done the key. They could have done a lot of things, but we're getting mentions of Cavill. We're getting mentions of things that were completely out of the question. So maybe this new regime is just needs a little bit more time. So I'm on board with whatever they're doing. Okay, let's see. Ryan, the Batman. Well, that's a long name. I do believe that there's a great potential for JSA storyline, and plus, I would let. Yes, there is, as long as they do it the right way. Here's the mistake I hope they're not making with Black Adam. Nobody knows who the hell JSA is outside of us. JSA is a phenomenal storytelling tool to use. The history of JLA, them being the first superhero group made up some of the earliest superheroes ever made, was a good storyline. It's a good history lesson because after Superman and Batman came about, comics went through a dark period. There were just other things they're doing, paper rationing. They just weren't being highly produced, and they weren't being highly sold. There was a renaissance that came in the late 50s, early 60s. So all those books that were canceled and all that, they started coming back with DC characters like that and integrated into what was the DC universe. And that's why for years and decades you had an annual face-off between JSA and JLA. That's why you had Crisis to the point where you had to explain why the heroes in this universe, Jay Garrett and all these other guys, were so old while we kept recycling it. There is a place to tell the JSA. It just has to be done right. And I think that they look beautiful in this storyline. I just hope that if they're going to bring in the JSA, they put some meat on the bone so that they can become that asset. Don't just throw them out there and people are like, well, I don't know who Dr. Fate is. I don't know who Spectre is. I don't know who Eclipso is. I don't know any of these people there. I think they have such a rich history that I hope that they're going to take advantage of that. And for me as a comic book collector and owner, I hope that not only does this do well in the box office, I hope it turns people on to the JSA. Because if I can, there's so much I can turn you on if I can get you picking up a JSA book. The storylines in the Final Crisis, there's so much stuff that's in there. So I think there's great potential. Well, Ryan, I hope that this movie does well enough to where they feel justified in continuing it. Okay, why didn't they have Nolan Affleck or Patty Jenkins finish the JLC reshoots? They didn't want to. Okay, they didn't want Affleck because they had issues with him. Remember, he did walk off the set, I think. They had just gone through all that with Zack Snyder, and Nolan would have done the movie. That was his friend. That's who brought him into this whole project. He was his executive producer on his movies. So Nolan would have probably not taken the job, and if he did take the job, he would have probably done it in the vein that Zack Snyder wanted it done, and they didn't want that. Patty Jenkins is the same way. I think Patty Jenkins at the time was not at that level yet. Remember, Wonder Woman came afterwards, and that's what put Patty Jenkins. Prior to that, her biggest thing was Monster, where she helped that actress win an Academy Award. But she wasn't on the level that that some of these other guys you mentioned, and those other guys that you mentioned were at odds with Warner Brothers at the time. They would have, if they were going to come in and do it, they would have finished Zack's movie the way he wanted it, and they clearly didn't want that direction. We see how that turned out. Okay, Black Afro. I still love that. I think The Rock finally clued to how much the fans want to see Henry Cavill in Superman 2 movie, that the fans want to support Black Adam. I think he knew that coming in. I think he is playing an invisible chess game with Warner Brothers and Discovery right now. I think he's getting leverage. I think he's using all of this and all of these trending things that are going on and the behavior they do. Listen, Discovery, Warner Brothers was watching Comic-Con. They were there. All right, they're seeing the reaction. They're following all these. David Zaslav is a very analytical dude. He's watching the numbers on HBO Max. He's watching the trending numbers. If there's anything anyone that these hashtag movements that we were doing before mean anything to, it's this current regime. So he sees that, and The Rock is basically leveraging. I think The Rock knows that his movie goes to a different level with Superman in it, and I think he's angling to try to do it. He's got to be careful, though, because if it's a contract thing, he can't be perceived as interfering in contract negotiations between someone and another company especially with that person being represented by the same agent as he is, which is Danny Garcia. You don't want that conflict of interest. You want to push, but you don't want to shove. So those are the reasons why I think that went down that way. All right, a new Constantine movie with Keanu Reeves seems like a no-brainer. I've heard the buzz. I've heard he wants to do that. I've also heard he wants to play an older version of Batman. Listen, you can't get enough Keanu Reeves. I think Constantine was a good movie. I think Constantine told in the context of what we're going through now. I would rather see that than a Justice League Dark. I would rather see a Justice League Dark built around what he could do. But I'd rather see him as Batman too. But I have heard the buzz, but I haven't heard anything official. All right. Despite what I think of Whedon is an awful person, I think that Zach, he and Zach could have done. Yeah. It's just a bad situation. Remember, you had poor management at WB, and they were tracing the $1 billion ghost that was already what Marvel was doing. What we have to understand is, when you introduce an Iron Man or a Thor, for the most part, you're not fighting generations of people who are going to say, that's not my Iron Man, that's not my Thor. For the most part, they haven't had anything, with the exception of Spider-Man and the Hulk and some other characters. On the scale that they delivered them to in 2008, nobody had seen that. So you had a united fan base that was along for the ride and were going to take anything that was coming. They weren't going to complain as much. That will change now that we have other people playing Logan and things like that. But with DC, with 80 years of continuity, I will contend, I would take this to my grave, that BBS was never going to make $1 billion. But those stuff suits thought it was. And even though that their last Superman movie didn't make that much money, and their previous movie was a Heath Ledger appearance away from not making that kind of movie before. Batman Begins didn't make Batman Returns didn't make that kind of money. All right, Heath Ledger's iconic performance made The Dark Knight a $1 billion franchise, and the third movie I don't think was that great, but it floated off the momentum of the previous one. So when you're talking about why they did what they did, why they even brought Whedon in, is because they were chasing $1 billion ghost that their characters weren't ready yet. I think the Justice League would have eventually grown into a $1 billion franchise that they could have launched things over, but it was going to take time for people to endear themselves into their Batman, letting go of their Batman to embrace a new Batman, letting go of their Christopher Reeve Superman and embracing Evan Cavill. Not saying that those things will never happen. You just got to give people time. And sometimes it takes a couple of movies. But because they were chasing that ghost is the only reason Whedon was even there, because of what he did with Avengers. And that was the thing. James Gunn wouldn't have been associated with DC Films had it not been for the fact that he works for Marvel. I love James Gunn's stuff now. I've evolved along with him. But his primary thing was not that he was a great director. They wanted to try to copy what Marvel was doing. That's a horrible reason to hire somebody. It turned out good. We still get good stories from James Gunn, but that's why Whedon and them, I don't think, would have worked together, because he was brought in specifically to circumvent the direction that Zach was taking the story. I don't think they would have worked well together. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not a fly in that room. Okay, so all right, Whedon Cavill, we're going to negotiate contract through New Line since Black Adam and Shazam. All right, yeah. But New Line is owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. Even if you want to say that it's a separate company, the leverage is coming, because who gives New Line their money? It's, David Zaslav still signs every check that goes to them, and they sign. It's still you're still talking about the major IPs like that. So it's Warner Brothers would have stepped in, and even if he's negotiating through New Line, he's for all intents and purposes negotiating. And my part, I understand these things work. He's negotiating with Warner Brothers Discovery. Even if they're already got he's there, that may say otherwise. Why is there no plan for new Green Lantern movies? Because of the disorganization of the previous regime. They really didn't have a. This is the worst thing about the whole Zack Snyder stuff getting pushed out, is we would have never. Most of the general fans would have never even understood what was going on if the plan that had replaced it had blown our socks off. The average customer that still gets confused about why Joss Whedon's Justice League and thinking that's great. If something would have came along that was so superior, Snyder people would have still been like, oh, we still want to see the end of our thing. We're still kind of upset. but the overwhelming noise from the general public, if something greater would have came out, would have been paramount. And the problem is they didn't have a plan. And part of the why we don't have Green Lantern is because there was no real cohesive plan in place. And as we got closer to the merger, like I said, some of these guys who came up with these ideas are gone. So you're in a flux now. I want the new regime to appoint all the people that they're going to put, and that includes the head of DC Studios, who needs to answer directly to Zaslav. I don't want to see any decisions made by leftovers from the old regimes. I don't want any of that old vision. Warner Brothers Discovery is like a house, that ugly house on the Warner Brothers is the ugly house on your neighborhood that is a fine house, but it has a crappy paint job. There's birds crapped on the roof, everything else. But if you go paint that house and you give it a new roof, when you drive by that house and see a for sale sign, you're going to give that house a chance. That's what Warner Brothers needs in the vein of Warner Brothers Discovery. They need a new paint job. And not until that paint job is made do I want some of these big, heavy decisions made, because it becomes messy. You're seeing now things getting canceled and shifted around because of poor planning by the outgoing and salvaging with the new regime. So I say we're probably another 3 to 4 months, if not a year, from getting a Green Lantern, because first of all, we have to establish what universe we're in, and we got till the Flash that happens. I think they should be letting us know what universe these characters that we're watching is. I think it would make the expectations for everything a lot easier to take. But like I said, if Zaslav, if you're watching these shows and you're pretty bored anyway, I would say that's what I would hope they would do. But let's give them a chance. They've only had the company for 3 months. They've only had legal company control of the company for 3 months. So maybe they're way ahead of us, and we just don't know. All right, when are you going to do a phone-in show? People ask you. Very soon. Very soon. I might do that. I might do that even next week. I am still getting used to the YouTube thing. As you guys can kind of see sometimes, this is the longest I've gone without co-host and a guest. This is the longest I've been able to interact with you guys. I'm still getting used. I'm still getting the equipment, the type of equipment. As we go on, both on the Poindexter Lounge, which is where we're on now, and on the Sci-Fi Center's YouTube channel. You can go to sci-fi-center.com as a matter of fact, I'll put that down there. You're going to see the quality of the show improve, the cadence of the show improve, and then me feeling a little bit more confident with doing call-in shows like that. Once I get a little bit, it could go south real quick. I could get a knucklehead that just wants to scream and holler at me. So, but like I said, as long as we're going to do this stuff, and that is a reality I'm going to have to accept. So I would look for it next week, to be honest with you. I would look at, if I did it, it would be on a Saturday stream. I might do 2 streams next week. I might do a Friday stream for a lot of the people who can't stay up late. And then I might do an overnight night stream. An overnight stream gives me a little bit more freedom to go off the rails than it is when I'm streaming in the middle of the day. So I would, Black Star Afro, too. Look for it next Saturday. All right, let's go cut the comments. All right, Snyder wanted to do 2 standalone Superman movies before he expanded in the cinematic universe. This is one of the things I don't completely disagree with WB on. I don't think you need to do standalone movies to build up what the Justice League was. They're the Justice League. They're the guiding light that shows everybody else how to make superhero teams. When you have recognizable people like that already in, I think you do reverse order, because there's so much recognition to be had. And if you look, the entire reason why we had things like the Justice Society and Justice League was to sell single storylines to begin with. DC does it the other way around. 63% of all characters at one point that were in DC Comics either came from the Trinity or were derived from a Justice League book. So, or a Justice League character. So they make up for a good bulk of the storytelling. So I understood why they went the route. In my opinion, I understand what you're saying, but in my opinion, they didn't make the wrong decisions in doing that. I just think the wrong decision was made in not following through, not having faith in the Euro creators. But I can see it your way as well. All right, let's see. All right, those stuff he's forgot what that Marvel's $1 billion movies were. Avengers movies, Black Panther and Captain Marvel are only other $1 billion. Yeah, and it took them a while. I think Iron Man only made like 400-something million. I don't think there's been a Thor movie to make $1 billion. They make good money, but the thing about Marvel and Feige and who he's had over him, whether it be Disney or Marvel Studios without Disney, they had faith in him. It wasn't all just about a number. He laid out their plan, and they believed in his plan. So if you had a movie that didn't draw a certain amount of money, it wasn't the end of the world because they had already bought into his overall plan, and they didn't blink. The worst mistake that Warner Brothers did, previous regime did, is they blinked. And when you blink, it's like leadership in the army. If the captain and the platoon, if the company commander and the platoon leaders and the XO and the NCOs show fear and hesitation, everyone that follows them will have that same fear and hesitation. And you are now leaderless. So it's the same thing with the corporation. When you're in a position of leadership and you do not back your people, you don't show faith, and you pull that faith for dumbass reasons, people lose faith in you. And guess who else loses faith in you? The customer eventually loses faith in you. You know, so your credibility is on the line when you make decisions like they did. All right, it is now 12:30. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody because I want to take the time to answer every question that's in here because you guys, hey, Phil, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, how you doing? Thanks for coming in. Let's see. We talked a lot of wrestling tonight. That's where we're going to have to do a wrestling show. I had some other topics, but I don't think they will be done justice without some of the other guys that would chime in. I was going to start some Star Trek, but without my Star Trek wingman, I need to have him here. Otherwise, there are certain topics I really always want to have certain people in because it's not just the show is not just about what I'm saying. It's about hearing from you guys and hearing from other people who are just as passionate about the stuff that I am. So let's see. All right. So why didn't Nolan and Snyder complain to Time Warner that T.J.R. Imrak? Because that's who they would be complaining to. T.J.R. was the top guy. Other than actually, no, he was the top guy because Stanky didn't take over until afterwards with AT&T. So he would be complaining to those guys, and those guys since they were the problem, they weren't going to solve themselves. So, yeah, T.J.R. was Warner Brothers chief and our CEO of Warner Brothers, Warner Media, or whatever. He's Kylar's predecessor, and Imrak was Warner Films president or CEO. So the two guys who had caused the problems would and were doing the screwing would have been the people that he complained to. Unfortunately, there was nowhere to go. Once again, T.J.R. was the Warner CEO. Who he would have had to complain to would have been John. I think it's John Stanky. I think his last name is Stanky, who was the CEO of AT&T at the time. And AT&T just didn't have that regard. It was just a toy for them. They bought Warner Discovery because they thought they could. And the same reason why they bought the DirecTV is they wanted to become a streaming conglomerate, and they wanted to use their telephone services to be able to benefit and carry these things that they were doing. And that's why they acquired these other companies. Well, when that didn't work out, they offloaded them. So and Stanky did not have the really close regard for it in that manner to where he was their creative guy. And by the time Kylar came in, he tried, but he was basically the only one in a room of people that wanted to go in a different direction. Yeah, Time Warner. Well, once again, it was Time Warner. It was Time Warner bought it from AOL. Oh wow, it's been bought so many times in the last 5 years, but none of those executives until now. I think Zaslav is different. Was really wanted to get involved in that level. You know, it was just something in the abstract. Whereas Zaslav is a more hands-off guy. Hands-on as if he's going to put the right people in the position, but hands-off, he's going to let them do it. And right now is because there's nobody above him. He's basically cemented himself as the Warner guy. There's nobody to second guess him. You know, Imrak can't have a golfing outing with Stanky or whatever, or whoever the other CEOs were, and say, you know what, I think these are bad ideas, regardless of what you heard from Zach or anybody else. We should, there's nobody like that. It all ends and begins with Zaslav, and he answers to shareholders. So that's pretty much why. It's an ugly situation. I think we'll once again answer the same question. These guys were so far removed because Time Warner was such a huge company, and AT&T. These were such huge companies that the movie division wasn't their thing, and they looked at guys like Imrak in the business for 40 years. They just left it to him. They really didn't understand how to run a studio or run an entertainment company. Zazov really doesn't. He knows how to run an entertainment company, but look what he's done. He's brought in Alan Horn. He's bringing in Pam Dubb. He's bringing in people who know what the hell they're doing. So he's a different bird. So I can't fully explain why this organization structure didn't work in the previous regime. I can just know that I'm in a much better place with it right now. So, all right. Are there any hidden gem comics you would recommend? Ones that that you like? Wow, I wish I was at the store for this. When it comes to Marvel, New Mutants. New Mutants is one of my favorite books. It is done in the vein of 1980s New Mutants. I love the artwork. I love the page breakdowns. I've reviewed this book before when I actually had the book in front of me. New Mutants is I think, the best X book out there. I love it. Daredevil is another one. DC Human Target, I think, is good. Anything Black Label is good. A lot of people don't like Black Label because it goes a little bit hard edge. Their characters that you traditionally see in other books do some harder edge things that are not customary to what they're doing in their mainstream books. A lot of those books are seemingly obscure because of that. Huge. Anything in a lot of the Image stuff. Some of it's not as it's not as obscure anymore. All three of these Spawn books I think are good. I don't know how good they're selling in other places, but they're doing well in mine. Gunslinger, King Spawn, Spawn are good. Damn, I wish I was in the store to answer this question because there are books I've been reading that are just not popping in the head because they're not in front of me. But anything from the smaller press, I would always get a chance. So those people put a lot into it, and it's a lot harder to get a book through the smaller press than it is to a big conglomerate company. Let's see. Okay. All right. Remember, I told me I would try to know. Yeah. Look how that turned out. So, all right, guys. It is 12:30. I have officially made this an overnighter. I was a man of my word. We started at 10 o'clock and we've gone 2.5 hours. That's probably, other than the Comic-Con stream, one of the longest streams I've had. We're going to do more Saturday night streams. I do not think I'm going to replace my Friday stream entirely. I'm going to tweak it a little bit with this. I think these Saturday night streams, I just feel more relaxed and I'm at my home instead of at my store. The conversation comes to me a lot easier. And these streams, what I might change about these Saturday night streams is instead of having topics, I may just have some framework stuff that we talk about. And then I might just let whatever guests that we have on and you guys in general dictate the pace of the show. I enjoyed answering questions with you guys tonight. I enjoyed the wrestling consuming as much as it did. Stay tuned for the wrestling show because it's coming. But I really like this. Like I said, we did the stream last Saturday, and Comic-Con, that was a big stream. We had like over 1,000 views, which was for nobody like me to have 1,000 views on anything. A lot of that was because of Comic-Con and a lot of people streaming. So I was about 1% of that, if any. But I did like the feel of the show. I did like the way the show rolled off. I am going to find some guests who don't have to work early the next morning because that's the only drawback is some of the people that I really love having these panels with have to work 5, 6 a.m. in the morning. Like Brian has to get up. He's management at his job. Enosh, even though he was a pain in the ass tonight, he's a pastor at a church Sunday morning, rolls right into that. So as we go on, I'm going to get a cadre of people who can stay up all night with us. And who knows how long these streams might. We might do group watches. We might do a lot of this stuff. On the Saturday night Sci-Fi Center Live, I'm going to let this be viewer content driven. Leave comments in the comment section of what kind of stuff that you guys want to see that you haven't been seeing, maybe in another stream that's been a little bit more structured than what we're doing here. I'm open-minded to a lot of stuff. Be easy on me on the contents. Like I said, of all the Point Extra people, I'm still relatively new. I am still happy every time, and I'm going to knock on wood that I don't hit the end broadcast button and kick myself out of the chat. So happy to have you here. Thank you for Armando for coming on. Thank you for Enosh for disrupting and destroying the stream. Thank you for RJ coming on. And I hope to see you guys. I hope Enosh streams soon because there's still a lot to talk about. I will see you guaranteed for sure next Friday, 6:30 Pacific time for Sci-Fi Center Live. And you can almost bet, and I think I can go ahead and make that into your plans, that you'll see me here Saturday between 9 and 10 Pacific time, and we will do a call-in show. We will engage you guys a little bit more. As much as we did tonight, we'll take it to a new level. All right, so All right. Thank you, Black Star Afro. And hey, like I said, I will be all over the place. You'll find me somewhere, Vince. And like I said, who knows? I might stay on long enough for me to you catch me on the back end. So, all right, that is it, guys. Thank you, everybody who contributed. Thank you for those who contributed with the super chat. Thank you guys for making this 2.5 hours go by very, very quick. Now I got to go eat some food and rest up for tomorrow, and we will see you next week.